Renowned national park, which the runners have been making the most of. Matthew Keenan with you, joined by the woman who won this race in 1998, coming to you live from the Garmin Beach Club. And Belinda Granger, you didn't just win the race, you brought a property in Noosa as well. You moved the whole family here, you loved it that much.
Oh, we really did. And I have to apologise for my voice before we start. It shows just how incredible this weekend is. I've just had a ball since it started back in on Wednesday. But yes, I came up and raced, had never been here before, and was blown away by the beauty of Noosa. Long story short, my entire family now live here. We have done for over 20 years.
Mum and Dad actually beat her here. When she first came here and raced in 1995, Mum and Dad moved up, and this is why. It's renowned for its beaches, but there's so much more than that, as we mentioned a moment ago. The national park to go and take a walk in, or run if you're so inclined. Putting people out on the river system as well. It is a gorgeous part of the world.
Oh, look, it truly is. Look, I've been here, as I said, over 20 years. I still run out to that national park, and it still blows me away, the beauty of it all.
Is it still hilly?
It's still hilly. Actually, I think it's hillier now, even more hillier.
It could do a little bit of a haircut. I'm planning to go for a run out there tomorrow with Andrew Reid, famous from Bondi Rescue, who's a big part of this event as well. I'm hoping Reedy has a big celebration tonight after participating in the triathlon. He's a little bit sore tomorrow. Fingers crossed.
A little slower. Good.
At least. You can join the conversation via the various social media channels with the Instagram, Facebook, at Noosa Triathlon, the hashtag Noosa Tri. It has been a big week. It all started on Wednesday with the run, swim, run. You were there. But more importantly, Thursday, there was the launch event down on the beach and the Walk of Fame, which started in 2012. And Dave Power and Joe Gilbert were inducted into the Walk of Fame. They're the two men who started this event in '83.
Unbelievable. And, you know, we've got a lot to thank these men for. Of course, we know Garth Proud took over from these two men. And look at what we've got today. I think there's over 13,000 people racing.
And there was around about 180 that participated back in 1983. There were no helmets on the bike leg. There was no sunscreen lotion. We've now got Smiling for Smitty, importantly, as one of the charity groups with this event. And there were no Garmins. So some of the athletes got lost in '83, and we're not sure if they ever made it back to the finish line.
I think there's some still out there.
They did a lot of work to make this event happen. And some of the greats of Australian triathlon have won this event. Back in the 1990s, in particular, with the likes of Miles Stewart, who was a world champion in about '92. This is before the Olympics. Got on board with the triathlon. They took a little while to catch up. Emma Carney won it twice.
Carney, brilliant athlete.
Still holds the course record.
Still has the course record, that's correct. And I think Craig Walton has won it more times than any other male. And, of course, we know Ash Gentle won it more times than any other female, going for number 10. It still blows me away to think number 10. I don't know many athletes around the world that can race and win the same event 10 times.
Roland Garros has got Rafa Nadal.
That's correct.
The Noosa Triathlon has got Ashley Gentle. Yeah, and after that we had on Friday, there was the Garth Proud Ride in the morning. There was also the swim event, the 2 times you swim on the Friday afternoon. This is a look at Noosa, and the conditions are perfect.
They really are. We've got very little wind, and that's surprising because it's been so incredibly windy here the past month. So to have a nice calm day like we've got today, it's going to be fantastic. Fast times, I predict.
1,500 metres out in the swim, and there's some really strong swimmers in the women's field. You've marked up 7 strong swimmers in the women's field, 3 in the men's field. And given that this is a non-draft event on the bike, having a strong swim can give them a real opportunity to get a head start before tackling Garmin Hill on the bike.
No, we really do have some really good swim bike specialists, and I think it's going to make a big difference.
Let's take a look at the swim course, and it's only been for the last 5 years or so that they've actually swum on the beach. They used to swim over in the river behind Hastings Street previously.
2015 was when it moved to Laguna Bay, better known to us locals as Noosa Main Beach, but you can see anti-clockwise direction, so they need to keep all of those boys on their left-hand shoulder. Only one can before they exit that they need to take on their right. Big thing about this race is the transition to T1. So into T1, around 300 metres. That's a long transition.
It's a really long run. They come off the beach, they go over through the car park. It's a really long run. They come off the beach, they go over through the car park and into transition, then it's out onto the bike leg. 40 kilometres on the bike, and the big talking point always on this bike leg is Garmin Hill.
Garmin Hill, about 3.1 kilometres in length. And it is a decent climb, and it's a true climb. So it's going to be very interesting to see the tactics that play out on that hill with both our men's and women's race.
and then it's out to the turnaround. And for the leaders on the bike league, the turnaround is a great opportunity for them to assess the position of their rivals.
No, that's right. It's the only time that they will get to see where everyone is. And as I said, for those swim bike specialists, it's a perfect opportunity to see what sort of lead they've got coming back into town.
And it's flat and fast on the way back into town, then preparing for the final transition into T2, back into the running shoes and ready to go out onto the 10 kilometres, and it's flat, fast 10Ks.
Yeah, the ASICS 10K run out and back. It goes along Noosa Sound and also Wyber Road. It is flat. Couple of slight rises on the two bridges that they must go over, back and over. A little bit of a dog leg on the way home too, which makes the coming back a little bit longer than going out.
And Ashley Gentle, who you spoke about before, she's won this race 9 times. Her worst ever performance in winning the race on the 10-kilometre run is 36 minutes.
Oh, don't talk about it. She truly is a superb athlete. And to see how she's transitioned from short course to long course just in 2 years to being the best middle distance athlete there is in the world. I loved what she said at the press conference earlier this week, was that she finally feels like she's a long course athlete coming back down to short course racing here today.
That is going to be really interesting to see how she goes in the coming back in distance, because speed is obviously a real key in this event. And what we have noticed with her 70.3 performance as the half Ironman distance is her pace is actually not that much slower than she has been in Olympics.
She's just doubled the distance and kept the same pace. Yeah, she truly is remarkable.
We've also got, in the men's race, we've got a really strong contender. We've got Hayden Wilde in the men's race, and he's a guy that comes here as the number 2 ranked athlete in the world across this distance. Yeah,
Hayden Wilde is such a character. He's been here since Wednesday. He came straight from Neom in Saudi Arabia, where he was racing in the last Super League. What can you say? He's from a running background. He's a brilliant runner in his own right. Started in off-road triathlon, so Xterra, and has moved his way into being one of the best short course athletes in the world. He
even started a lot as a junior on mountain bike racing, and he's sponsored by Red Bull. He's one of the triathletes that gets the title as being a little bit cool, and with all due respect, I see triathletes as a little nerdy generally, which I relate to because I'm renowned as being a bit of a stats nerd myself, so I'm pretty cool with nerdy. I like that. But we've got Hayden out there, and he's a Red Bull athlete, and he likes to try and float the wings. His nickname's the Falcon.
The Falcon, that's right.
He comes in from behind. Well, we're going to cheat here, Belinda Granger, and we're going to get some inside knowledge. We're joined by Toby Coots. Toby, who is going to win today and why?
Our champion from last year, Charlie Quinn. He's the world record. He's the record holder here.
Well, he is the world record holder for
Noosa, exactly. So you can't count someone out like that. I know we've got the calibre of Matty Hauser and Hayden Wilde in there. They haven't raced here before, and it's one of these races that when you go out on the course and you understand what goes on out there, it's knowledge is a big thing here for this race, and we find it takes 1 or 2 or 3 races to stamp an authority on there. And Charlie's been a few times, and he did last year. And you know, Hayden, we know and Matty are both phenomenal athletes in the non-draft, the draft legal racing. This is non-drafting. This is different. We're on a time trial bike opposed to a road bike. The dynamics change a fair bit. So I'm just looking forward to being out in the course following the guys and the girls. It's going to be epic out here.
All right, Toby. So Charlie Quinn, he is the defending champion. He's the course record holder. He's not listed as number 1 on the start list. Is this the least amount of pressure a defending champion has ever been under at Noosa?
He's under the radar.
It's amazing.
Which is ridiculous.
Which is scary. So, you know, and there's 2 people in this race. It's one in the men's side, and that's Jake Birtwistle. He's won it twice, and Charlie, and they're both 2 guys that we haven't heard anything about over the last 2 days.
No.
It's been about Matty and Hayden, and they're under the radar. So we can see them come out and have an absolute blinder. But the bike here is so important, and I think the pace is going to be on today, and this is what's going to set them apart, I reckon.
And Henry Schumann, South African, he's coming back from injury, but this guy is quick.
And that's another one. He's under the radar as well. We don't know too much about it, and we can see the swim conditions on the screen. And this also, too, Matty and Belinda, is going to make a major
Big
thing.
difference.
Last year was definitely smooth and calm. We've got 21.9 degree air temperature. The water temperature is 23 degrees, which is a non-wetsuit swim for all age categories, apart from our 60 plus. They have an optional wetsuit swim, and the humidity is 79%.
I bumped into one of the athletes who's doing the 60 plus, and last night he was wrapped that there is a wetsuit swim.
A new ruling. Yep.
He did say if I get a little bit tired, I can float for a while and try and recover. That won't be the case for the elites. Across at the women's, obviously Ashley Gentle, she's the standout favourite, and it's hard to go against her. But who can possibly cause the upset?
Nat Van Coverden, she's raced here before. She hasn't raced for a couple of years, so we got that. But Amelia Watkinson, we know she's a quality athlete. Lottie Wilms has won the Sunny Coast 70.3. We can throw her in. Milan Agnew had a blinding race a few years ago. Has she got that form to come back? Sarah Crowley, like the list of ladies in this field is crazy. Fenella Langridge, I know Belinda has really good raps on her. She's been up here at Noosa doing some training, and the quality of her, she can set it up with a good swim. Hannah Knighton led for half the course last year, and my smoky, Rochelle Hill.
Oh, Toby, I'm going to throw you under the bus here. You've got a half a dozen athletes highlighted in the men's as potential winners, and you've got one in the women's.
One in the women's.
Look, Ash, I mean, you don't come here and win 9 titles without knowing what's going on, and I've watched her out there on races, and she can be that far behind, and she just finds that will to win at Noosa. It's a race that she holds dear to her heart, and she's gunning for 10 titles.
Well, here's a look at the men's start list, and it is the Kiwi. Hayden Wilde is at the top of the list. Matt Hauser, he's been here 8 times before without participating. This is his first time actually participating. The defending champion, Charlie Quinn. Jake Birtwistle, who you mentioned, he's a 2-time winner of the race. Henry Schumann is out there as well. Further down the list, you mentioned a couple of smokies already. Yeah,
I'd be looking at a Kurt McDonald. He's really strong on the bike. Matty Kerr's also in there. Jamie Riddle, another one of the South Africans who's is a quality athlete. We know he's probably been a little bit under the weather, I've heard, on the side, so we're not sure what we're going to get out of there. It keeps going down, the class and that.
There's 17 athletes in the men's event, and there are 19 in the women's event. And at the top of the table, wearing number 1, is Ashley Gentle. And I'm always fascinated by the warm-up with the swim.
Well, that was Lottie Wilms that we just saw then going into the water. You can recognise Lottie, where she's in that very bright green Paywag team. Kit, she is probably one of, if not the strongest swimmer today. She's very, very strong in the water. Comes from the Netherlands, based here on the sunny coast now, lives at Sunshine Beach. So we've taken her as one of our own. She's one of ours now.
Almost like a Kiwi. We adopt them when they start winning. Ashley Gentle at the top of the table, Natalie Van Coverden, who you've mentioned, Amelia Watkinson. Charlotte McShane is always a chance here. She loves this course.
That is, and she's been here before. She's got a quality running streak that's at the end. So the run is very important here, and she's going to be pushing pretty hard.
And one thing I like about Charlotte this year, as in comparison to last year, she was on a road bike last year. This year she's on a time trial bike. She realises the importance of having a time trial frame on this course.
It does make a huge difference. The marquee still set up on the beach. It's been there throughout the week. It's been a fantastic couple of days. This is the big one though, Toby. You're going to be out on course and bring us updates, particularly on the bike league.
Yeah, so we'll follow once they get out of the water, I'll do my first cross with the boys at Gympie Terrace. Then we'll get them on the Garmin Hill, and then I'll pick the girls up from the top, and we'll give you some live feeds throughout the day of what's going on out there on the course.
Can't wait to hear it. Let's now hear from the defending champion.
It means a lot I've been racing here since I was 15, so coming here since I was 15, so to be able to come here and defend the title on the 40th anniversary is really special. Yeah, I think I see myself as a bit of a dark horse underdog, even though I'm the defending champion course record holder. I think the race has gone up another level this year, so I think I'll just try and kind of work off those guys in the swim in particular, and yeah, just kind of, maybe sit back a bit and kind of let them do a bit of the pace making. The swim will be really fast. It'll be a case of maybe trying to hold the feet in the swim. Matt Hauser, Jamie Riddle, Henry Schumann, Josh Amberger, there's heaps of fast swimmers. So I'll be trying to stay up there on the swim. Max showed last year, and the race last year showed the bike can really make a difference. So I think I'll be trying to kind of follow his lead. As a long course guy, I spend all year on the TT bike, so I kind of want to show that a bit, and I think if I leave it to a running race, I'm probably going to be racing for 4th or 5th, so I think that where I can really make an impact on the race is on the bike. I think the run will be really fast. Hayden and Matt, Henry as well, Jake, Brandon Copeland, Jamie Riddle, there's so many great runners there. So I think, for me, try and run my own race and not kind of maybe go out at their pace, because I know they have insane speed. So for me, I think it'll be about kind of trying to negative split the run. It's a really tough ask this year. I think, you know, I'd be really happy with a podium in this field, but I'll be racing for the win. So I think being the defending champ, I'm going to try and, you know, maybe, you know, take a risk or two, race aggressively, and if they're going to take the crown, they're going to have to work hard. So.
I love that from Charlie Quinn. If they're going to take the crown, they're going to have to work really hard. And he's made it pretty clear he is the underdog, despite the fact that he is the defending champion and the course record holder, mind you. The bike league is going to be really important for Charlie. He just spoke about that. He can't turn this into a running race. He has to be aggressive on the bike. And he is a longer course distance athlete, so he's got more experience on the time trial bike. So, Toby, we expect a really aggressive ride leg from Charlie Quinn.
Yeah, and I think you're going to find that from the 70.3 athletes that we have in this field. But, yeah, Charlie knew what he did last year. He's going to try and replicate that and probably try and... He knows he's got to get away from Matt and Hayden and also the other South African, Schumann as well, because he knows that they're the quality runners.
Yeah, Henry Schumann, he just looks like a runner.
He does.
And he's an incredible runner. Another person who's an amazing runner is the 9-time winner of this event, the Queen of Noosa, Ashley Gentle.
Yeah, I guess this year there's a lot of girls who have finished up the short course season and decided to, you know, come and do Noosa Tri again, or maybe for the first time. And I think it's an interesting mix-up of girls. They've, you know, got a lot of people, a lot of women trying to qualify for the Paris 2024 Olympics, and they're obviously in really good form and obviously very, you know, they've been racing Olympic distance all year. And then you've got a couple of girls that are doing middle distance. Fenella Langridge from Great Britain, she's just done Kona a few weeks ago. So I think that it's going to play out and be a really interesting race dynamic. And I think for me, with way more experience on the time trial bike now and doing the middle distance racing where I can attack that bike and it is a non-drafting event, I'd love to be able to show my bike strength. I definitely hope that I've still got some good power in the legs at this time of year. For 2 years now, you know, the time trial bike is something that I use in all of my racing. I still train on both TT bike and road bike, but I think that I've been able to dial in a position on my time trial bike that, you know, I can kind of go 80 or 90K hard on. So I guess that's a good learning and experience for me to have that in my back pocket. It's only 40K obviously on Sunday, so it's about trying to dial up that pace, see what's left in the legs, and yeah, try and use that to my advantage on the out and back course. And then I can always generally rely on my run, and hopefully I can bring it home strong. But you know, those girls have been running some pretty quick 10Ks all year, and yeah, like I said, they're trying to qualify for the Olympics. So we'll have to wait and see on Sunday, but it'll be a really interesting race to follow.
I've seen the evolution of Ashley Gentle at this race from her first win in the 30th edition back in 2012 up until coming into this as the 9-time winner, and I have never seen her look more relaxed. Well, she's got 9 in the back pocket already. There's no pressure on her. Others have to go out and get the win, Toby.
That's it, and that's what comes with experience here, racing and winning so many times. Is that she's quietly confident. She knows what she's got to do out there, and I've watched some of the races where she's been that far behind and go, there's no way in the world she's going to be able to win from this position, and she finds it. She just knows how to win at this race, and today, I mean, class female field there, she's going to be very, very hard to beat, and probably the only thing that can actually beat her out there is mechanicals, which we don't want to touch and go through that way, but she's going to be very, very hard to beat today.
We've got 10 minutes to go before they get started in the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon.
Run when the rhythm's right, go into the night, floating as the river flows, easy as it goes to the ocean. So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. I don't ever wanna be a crowd. something so new.
Stability never felt better. Running long or longer, you can run through it. Steep hills, you go steeper. Adaptive stability and premium comfort. The Gel Kayano 30 shoe. Nothing feels better.
The countdown continues to the start of the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. 8 minutes away from the men getting started, 10 minutes away from the women getting started. Belinda Granger, Toby Coote, it's time to put our reputations on the line and take a look at our top 3 picks. I'm going to preface this by saying that Belinda Granger put in her picks before I got a chance to take a look at the start list. So for the men's race, I've gone with Henry Schumann to get the win ahead of Hayden Wilde, and then Matt Hauser, the Aussie, in 3rd position. Toby, you didn't get to put your tips in. Is it out of the question for Henry to get the victory today?
No,
Have I gone completely wild?
No, you haven't gone wild, but there's a chance that he could take out that win for sure.
Belinda, you got in really early before I got a chance to take a look at the start list. And for the men's, for you, you've gone with?
Hayden Wilde, I can't go past him. He's such a premier athlete, superior athlete. He's been here for over a week. He's gone over the course several times, and I just can't see anyone outrunning him.
And neither of us have put the defending champion in the top 3, Charlie Quinn, and we haven't put the other 2-time winner of the race, Jake Birtwistle, in the top 3. So this is a public apology to Charlie and Jake.
Well, I'll go against it. I'll go Charlie Quinn for the win then.
Willian.
There you go.
Yep,
There you go.
yep.
Okay.
Perfect.
Well, he'd be happy to hear that, and he's going to have to be aggressive on the bike to get the job done. Let's take a look at the women. We're going to agree on this one. I'm sure we're all going to agree. I have gone surprisingly with Ashley Gentle for the victory. 2nd place from Belgium, Hannah de Vet, and in 3rd position, Amelia Watkinson. Toby, thoughts on my selections?
I think you've got a really good selection there, that's for sure, Matty.
But hang on, you're hesitating.
Oh, not hesitating. I'm with you on Ash Gentle.
But not on
but not
Hannah
the rest.
de Vet?
No, I'm actually going to go against it, and I think someone like a Nat Van Covenden, I'm going to throw her out there as well.
Belinda, take us through your top 3.
Well, obviously Ash Gentle, no surprises there. But for 2nd and 3rd for me, I'm going with the longer distance athletes, Amelia Watkinson and Fenella Langridge. Amelia was 2nd here last year. She had a great race. Fenella, I know her very well. She's been staying here for a few weeks now with me. She's very, very strong swim biker, and she can run as well. So I really think we've got such a diverse women's field here with the long distance athletes and the shorter distance athletes. But yep, I'm a long distance athlete by heart, so I'm going with Amelia and Fenella to round out that podium.
Oh, the men are in the final phases of the warm-up, just about ready to go. Jake Birtwistle in the black colours. He's the 2-time winner of it. He was about to go for a swim on Friday. And I've heard the most relaxed call ever from Surf Rescue when they said, ladies and gentlemen, if we can just grab your attention, we'd like you to get out of the water, evacuate the beach. We've had a couple of sightings of a shark. And Jake waited a little while before he went in and had a swim, and it was all clear.
It was fine.
But I've never heard such a relaxed announcement of that nature.
Well, we don't normally see it here. That's the thing.
20 years I've never heard that shark alarm go off.
Me either. So yeah, it's a first for. Well, we've got to throw up a few things for the 40th anniversary.
But it was all clear. There is one of the big favourites in the red colours, Hayden Wilde. He is raring and ready to go.
And right next to him, that's Kurt McDonald, and he's the smoky. I think he's our smoky for today. He's a very strong swim biker, and he can run. So if Kurt McDonald can get away with a few of the stronger swimmers, he could hold on for the win.
I just got a message a couple of moments ago from somebody in Camperdown about McDonald and saying to look out for Kirk McDonald because he is a big chance. And Jocelyn, she's right on the money, looking out for Kirk McDonald.
Matty Hauser right there on screen. He is definitely one of our favourites. What a character he is. Originally from Hervey Bay, down on the Gold Coast now. Coach is Dan Atkins. Such a class athlete. One of the best athletes we've got now in short course racing.
That's it. And Matty just looks so relaxed too. That's something I look at right now, looking at him on the start line. The defending champion there, Charlie Quinn. There's a little nerves there. Jakey Birtwhistle there looking pretty relaxed, and we're inviting the rest of the pro men down to the start line.
Matt Hauser's looked relaxed since I first saw him on Thursday. In fact, he's looked relaxed since the first time I saw him in 2019.
That's the Hervey Bay boy, mate. That's Matty. There's no ego. There's no nothing with him. He's just a genuinely nice, humble guy.
And while he's been here many, many times, I think 6 or 7 times now, he's never raced this triathlon. So first time for Matty Hauser.
He's been with us in commentary. Back in 2019, he was a co-commentator. How's he the expert commentator when he'd never ridden or participated in the race before?
He's one of those guys that knows what the Noosa Triathlon is about, and as he said in his press conference, he wants to give it the utmost respect of what the event is about, and that's why he hasn't lined up.
Jake Birtwhistle, that is a picture of concentration. He's the athlete in the all-black colours, and he's one of the Aussies who's vying to try and get a spot in Paris. Matt Hauser has qualified for Paris. Had to get inside the top 8 in one of the last races of the season in Spain. He finished 8th. He snuck in, but he's there.
He's there, and that's the biggest tick that you can get. Once you already know that you're on that list now, that pressure's off Matty. He can just sit back and, come and do some of these races that he doesn't get the opportunity to do. But, it's a sea of blue down there. You can see that next wave that goes off is one of the charities there. That is the Smile for Smitty crew. And they've got, I'm not sure, that is our biggest charity group out there, but they normally get 200-300 competitors in that wave.
They've got 350 competitors this year.
Wow.
They've raised multiple $1 million in research for the Martyr Foundation, predominantly into melanoma, because Dave Smitty, unfortunately, he passed away in 2006 as a 26-year-old because of melanoma. But the upside of that is, if he had been diagnosed now, he would have survived because of the research that has happened since his passing. He's got a significant legacy after what is a sad story. Just 17 athletes on the start line for the men, 19 athletes for the women. And in both the men's race and the women's race, I can't recall seeing this much depth in the 12 years that I've been here.
No, as I just mentioned, the most diverse field I've seen in a long time. Back in the day, Tobes, you'd remember this, it used to be incredible fields. It's really deep, the best in Australia, the best from around the world. And then, for whatever reason, I think, the end of the year, November, it's a long year now for our professional athletes. Most have been racing since the beginning of January. That is a long time to be racing. So I think this race for most of our professional athletes here today is they are racing for the celebration of it all. Ash Gentle nailed it when she said, even though this is a race she's won more times than you can think about, the best thing about this race is it reminds her why she got into the sport to start with. It's because it's for the love of the sport, from the camaraderie, and that's what most of the athletes are here today doing.
And she's got a whole family here, and I'm sure that they'll be amongst the many people that are milling around on the beach. This is one of the few events in the world where the alarm going off at 4 o'clock seems absolutely normal. They're into the final 30-second countdown. They're underway in the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. The sprint is on for the water. And Toby, at this point, it can be a little bit of a false alarm going too deep too soon. You've got to maintain composure and stick to your strategy.
Exactly, and the thing is you can get that heart rate up really high straight away, and then that just makes it so hard to get that transition of going into the swim. And we saw a couple of them fall over there at the start, which when you go in too quick, you haven't got that control. And we can see there's that little bit of a drop off there into that gutter as they're going through. You can see the chop out there as well. So they're heading straight out into a chop. And what we're going to find is that they're going to spread out very quickly along here, going out this way. The front guys will get that little bit more of a gap going over top of these waves, and you'll see them starting to spread out pretty quickly, which we're seeing right now.
It can be a really big advantage for the athletes that have grown up with surf swimming as opposed to just pool swimming.
Oh, correct. And this is where the forte of the Aussies come through at this race, because we grew up on the beach. We're used to this. This is our bread and butter. And like I said, whoever's out in front will get a bit of a closer look when we get closer to see the colours. But they're really just starting to string out. You can see that V line starting to go through out to that first can. And this is just going to get strung out as this pace goes on.
There's Ashley Gentle, second from the left, just about ready to go, looking for number 10. The women about to start. 19 athletes on Noosa Beach, ready to go for the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. The final tense moments. This is a long wait for all of the athletes. And for the age groupers, they're down watching the very best, and no doubt they'll be inspired. It looks a whole lot easier on TV than what it is in reality. Natalie Van Koven right next to Ashley Gentle. She's one of the big challenges to try and take the title. Down to the final 10-second countdown. And they are underway. One of the greats of Australian triathlon, Ashley Gentle. She's out aiming for victory number 10 in the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Toby, she'll be tough to beat, and to beat her, you need to put in a really good swim and create some distance.
Well, that's correct. And Ash loves open water swimming, and especially down here at the surf. And even though, like in the World Cup races that she used to do, she used to be in that second pack. She always used to, like when we come here, she was only 20 seconds or 30 seconds out of the water behind the first girls last year. So she's definitely going to be up there pushing the pace in the swim, because she knows she needs to be there for that bike and run.
Well, interesting statistic that we worked out, of the 9 years that she's won here, she has an average of about 52 seconds, being down 52 seconds out of the water. I think it's the smallest deficit's been about 5 seconds, but we know that she's really improved her swim in the last 2 years, which is crazy to think, because the swim is of least importance in a longer distance race as compared to this distance. But I actually think she's swimming stronger now than she was when she was a short course athlete.
And Toby, when Belinda says we worked out, we mean Belinda worked out. She's done all the homework.
Yeah, she loves the stats, but it's one of those things. But I think, BG, when you talk about what Ash used to do in that world circuit, everything was hard bike, hard running. Now she's stepping back to that 70.3 distance. The intensity is probably not as much in there, so she's not as fatigued when it comes to swimming, so that might be another reason why that swim has improved over the years as well.
All right, Toby, we need to get you down to transition, ready to go out on the motorbike, the easy way to follow. But before you do that, take us through your thoughts on this swim course.
I love this. You get to sit there. So we're straight off the beach. We're heading out to sea, following along our first points, heading out towards the top end of the national point. They'll do a left-hand turn, which is all into the headwind. They're going to have a tailwind coming back down behind, so the chop's going to be behind them. They'll do that dog leg, right-hand turn onto the beach, and then they got that 300-400 metre run into transition, which sets the race up for them.
And do you dare to make a prediction who's out of the water first in the men's and the women's? No pressure.
I'm going to go Maddie Hauser for the guys, and I'm going to go Hannah Knighton for the females.
Okay, well, if you're correct, we're going to do a replay on this. If you're not, we're going to delete that part of the package. Deal?
Deal.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us, Toby Coote. Great insights into triathlon right across Australia. He's heading down to transition. He'll be on the motorbike out for the bike leg, 40 kilometres, including Garmin Hill. And he can give us the insights, Belinda Granger, on who's suffering and who's cruising.
Well, it's interesting you should mention that, because that's why I love Toby's role. I love having him out there. He's been doing this role for years now. He's so very good at it. But he can get those facial expressions, and we can see exactly what these athletes are feeling, and that often means more than where they are position-wise. So I'm really looking forward to his updates on course.
Well, it's all still pretty tight out in the swim. It is a little choppy. And quite often we see many of the athletes in the triathlon participate on Friday night, Belinda, in the 2xU 1,000-metre swim to get a feel for the conditions.
Well, very similar conditions actually, Matt, to what we had on Friday afternoon for our 2xU 1,000-metre swim. We've got that northeasterly blowing, and whenever you get that at Noosa, it always makes it very, very choppy. And as Tobe said, it's going to be a very, very difficult swim all the way out around those first points, but they will get some reprieve when they make that turn back for home.
It's still pretty tight. The gap from the first athlete to the last athlete, it's reasonably big if you just took a time check, but the fact that there's plenty of bodies in between them, that makes it relatively smooth and you can stay together through transition.
Definitely.
Well, I get to go to events all around the world, including the Tour de France, and my family, they're not all that keen necessarily to go to the Tour de France, but when it comes to Noosa, they start pestering me in February and March. Dad, are we going to Noosa this year? The person who's with us, Belinda, who's got the easiest job in Australia is Peter Hunt from Tourism and Events Queensland. Peter, can you get an easier job than promoting Noosa as a place to come and visit?
Yeah, it's not too bad, is it, Matt? It's what a great place, and it really is the destination that brings this event alive. This event epitomises the Queensland and the Noosa brand. It's fun, it's fit, it's outdoors, and yeah, what we're seeing this morning, as I say, beautiful one day, perfect the next.
And as a Victorian, particularly Melbourne, likes to promote itself as the events capital of the world or the sporting capital of the world. But I'm of the view that as a Melbourneian, yes, it's got big events for the elites, but Queensland is the place to go for big participation events. This is a lot more than just the elites.
Yeah, that really sets Queensland apart. Look, Melbourne have got fantastic built infrastructure, particularly in the capital city, but for Queensland, we've got this whole state of fantastic destinations, particularly for endurance sport, from the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast, Cairns, Townsville will be hosting the World Triathlon Multisport Championships next year. Even right throughout the outback, it really is. It's the destinations and unique outdoor landscapes that enable great events to take place, which sets us apart.
There's a lot of venues that promote themselves as a great venue, like the MCG or the Centre Court at Wimbledon. They go, look at our stadium. Look at your stadium.
Yeah. That's our stadium. It's Noosa Heads here. It's the outdoors. It's our fantastic climate. Although this morning, obviously, a bit of a nor'easter this morning, so not quite as great for the swim leg. Last year was picture perfect conditions, and yeah, we see the athletes come back time and time again. They bring their family and they stay a week either side of the race. That's the draw of the destination.
Which is exactly what I'm doing as a family. I'm taking the kids out of school for a week. We're extending the holiday and we're staying in Queensland for an extra week.
All my friends are doing it too. It's how I started. I came up here for a week and never left.
She's been here since 1995. You look like you're fit enough to participate. Are you going to leave us and go and get changed and ready to be one of the age group competitors?
I would love to. And every time I come along to a triathlon or one of the Ironman races, I am inspired. I had my 7-year-old son did the Super Kids Triathlon yesterday, his first ever triathlon. And my wife and I are certainly talking about triathlon clubs in Brisbane, and it really is such a fantastic lifestyle sport that you can participate in from under sevens right through to the later stages of life.
My daughter was out there yesterday morning as well, and for me that's one of the highlights, to see the kids that are there at 6:30 in the morning, queuing up at registration, and then Pete Murray gets them going with the warm-up. The warm-up is more taxing than the actual event with Pete's energy.
Yeah, it absolutely is. My son Fletcher was there alongside Pete, asking when are we going to start, and yeah, he had a great time. First ever triathlon, and what a place to do it here in Noosa. And
what an exciting time it is for Queensland with major events, obviously with the Olympics coming up in 2032.
Yeah, Brisbane 2032 Olympic and Paralympic Games really has taken Queensland to another level, particularly in the sports space, but also arts and culture as well. The Green and Gold Runway, as they call it, next year with the World Triathlon Multi-Sport Championships, that's an example of the types of events that Queensland will be hosting. We hosted the World Triathlon World Championships back in 2018 on the Gold Coast, and I think that's probably an event that is probably on our radar over the next 8 years.
How excited are you about the games? Yeah. Personally, taking the work hat off. Personally. Yeah,
look, it's a game changer for Queensland, for Brisbane in particular. I grew up in Sydney and I experienced the Sydney 2000 Games. It was awesome. Being able to, my son will be, my 7-year-old will be 18, graduating high school. My 5-year-old will be not far off that, and just seeing the growth in Brisbane and Queensland that the Games is going to help stimulate, capitalise upon, it really is exciting.
And an event such as the Noosa Triathlon, you end up with great athletes that are ambassadors for the area. And Ashley Gentle, you cannot get a better ambassador for sport or Queensland than Ashley Gentle.
Oh, absolutely. She's setting records, obviously coming back year in year, winning year in year out, and she really is a special person, a special Queenslander, and fantastic. Hopefully, we'll see how she goes this morning.
The lead men, they're more than halfway through the course at this point. The group is still predominantly all together. They've been out there for almost 11 minutes. The women out there for almost 9 minutes. On the topic of Ashley Gentle, in 2019, after she won the race, my daughter came to this position, the commentary position. She got a photo. There was Ashley Gentle, my daughter who was then 9 years of age, Emma Snowsill, Olympic Games gold medalist, and me. A week later, I checked her school iPad, and the screensaver was her and Ashley Gentle. The Olympic champion had been cropped out, and so had Dad.
There you go, and that's the inspiration that these athletes give our youngsters. They see these role models, and they just want to emulate that.
Well, this is a huge event for Queensland. Peter, we thank you for all your support of this great event, and we look forward to seeing your kids maybe participating in the big one, not just the Noosa Tri for kids in the next few years.
No, absolutely, Matt and Belinda. Thank you so much for having us on. All the best to all the participants out there this morning. We look forward to seeing everyone come across the finish line.
Can I ask you one question before you go? Because it's a little bone of contention in our family. We are originally New South Welshmen as well, born and bred. Been here for over 20 years now. When do we get to call ourselves Queenslanders? It's a real bone of contention up these ends.
Well, I've been in Queensland 10 years, and my wife and I have this same conversation. I'm promoting to Queensland, so I get pretty passionate about Queensland, and I actually find myself come state of origin time kind of torn. And maybe it was because I came up in 2014. That was at the middle of the Queensland's domination, that decade of domination. And I reckon you can call yourself a Queenslander now, absolutely.
There you go.
State of origin is the ultimate test. Peter Hunt from Tourism at Events Queensland, thanks for your time today and thanks for your support of this fantastic event.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Belinda.
Well, they're not too far away, Belinda, from making their way up onto the beach, and then there's the 300-metre run into transition before they then head out onto the bike. And it is still predominantly packed together at the front with the big favourites in the men's race.
And you know, it's interesting, Matt, because I told you earlier when we were discussing tactics and how I thought the race would play out, I thought in the men's race we would have three standouts in Maddie Hauser, Henry Schumann and Jamie Riddle. But we've got a big, long, drawn-out pack with the men. But in the women's race, when we pan back, we've got one lone swimmer. Now, I thought we'd have a big pack of female swimmers there up front, the likes of Natalie Van Koven and Fenella Langridge, Hannah DeVette. So I'm surprised that we've got one solo swimmer. Hopefully we'll get to take a look at her. But you can see right now on screen, they are professional men. So we've got a group of around 4 or 5 men there. I know that Jamie Riddle will be in that group. Henry Schumann will be in that group. Maddie Hauser, definitely these conditions are perfect for Maddie Hauser, being a little bit rough and rumble out there.
And then it's perfect conditions out on the bike. It's slightly overcast in Noosa, which is rare.
Very rare, and not warm. I mean, humidity up, but heat down.
Yeah, it's 21 degrees was the official temperature as the race
Beautiful.
got underway. You could not have requested better conditions.
No, you couldn't, and you know it'll play a significant part, particularly in the ASICS 10K run, simply because you know it won't slow the runners down. Often we get the really extreme heat and humidity here by the time the athletes hit the pavement, but we're not going to see that here today, so we're going to see some pretty fast times.
And you can tell by the way the kayak is moving along towards the front. Here's an update on the weather. Air temperature now up to 22.4. Water temperature is 23. Humidity 79. But the wind speed to me is significant, particularly when we look forward to the bike and the run. Just 9 k's per hour. That's essentially neutral.
Insignificant. It's insignificant. And we thought, look, if that wind does pick up over the course of the race, it could be tough for the athletes coming home because they will be coming home into a headwind. But right now, it's certainly not going to play a part.
Did you organise your training rides when you're on the bike to make sure you had a tailwind home?
We used to get up really early in the morning and plan out what way we would ride a particular loop, depending on where that wind was coming from.
To make sure you had the easy ride home?
Always. You don't want to ride after the coffee shop break.
No, exactly. They're making the right-hand turn around the final buoy. They're about to hit the beach. And this group has stayed together a lot more than most of us anticipated.
Yeah, look, it is that group of 4. We know, as I said, it'll be Jamie Riddle, Maddie Hauser and Henry Schumann. I'll be interested to see who that 4th swimmer is. But you can see Little Wave, they're desperately trying to get on, but nothing significant enough for them to stay. It's been a tough swim, but you can see that big group right behind. They're not too far behind.
And it's at these moments that they're hoping to find their inner Kai Hurst, who's won the 2 times Euro Ocean Swim 12 times.
Unbelievable.
He was inducted into the Walk of Fame after 8 wins. The race organisers thought, well, he's retiring from official competition. Surely he's done. He's got 8 victories. Walk of Fame for Kai Hurst. After a retirement from international competition, he won it 4 more times.
He's incredible. Funnily enough, though, for the Legends try yesterday, I had to do the swim in his place. He did the run, so we reversed roles. I'm not sure that was a great idea.
No, that's...
I'm really not sure.
That's what I want to see from the Legends try in the future. You have to do the leg that you weren't renowned for. So Susie O'Neill yesterday, she swam. Next year, she has to run.
She needs to do the run.
Craig Mottram's not allowed to run. He's got to swim. Here we go. The first athletes in the men's race for the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon are up and out and racing across Noosa Beach.
Yeah, and you can see this is a really long run up into transition. They have to go up that soft sand. You can see there Henry Schumann in the red suit. You can see Maddie Hauser out in front. Jamie Riddle there as well. Jamie Riddle out in front. So that's Jamie Riddle and Maddie Hauser straight through.
Maddie Hauser in the white colours, participating for the first time in this event.
So great swim from those four.
And now we turn our attention back to the leading women. It's been a pretty quick swim for the men. They're out of the water in a little over 16 minutes. That's exceptional.
It really is. And as I said, these conditions are not conducive to fast swimming, although in saying that, they really, as long as they got themselves out around that turn. So it was Brandon Copeland was the fourth male, so of course I should have known that. So our top four out of the water, Jamie Riddle from South Africa, Maddie Hauser from Australia, Henry Schumann also from South Africa, and Brandon Copeland from Australia, one of our premier short course athletes. He originally trained up here back in the day under the guidance of Luke McKenzie's father, Pete McKenzie. He now lives on the Gold Coast, spends a lot of his time in Girona, over in Spain.
Well, the three athletes that you marked on my start list to watch for in the swim to get out of the water first were Jamie Riddle, Matt Hauser, Henry Schumann, and that's how they've come out of the water. Good prediction by you.
Now, what will be interesting and what we really need to take note of here is the deficit now back to the likes of Hayden Wilde, because we need to see exactly what that deficit is. Hayden was happy about the long transition because he knows that he would be able to make up some seconds there. But let's see what that deficit is, because it's going to really play a part. This is quite a powerful bike group.
And somebody's lost their bidden. The water bottle has gone off on the way through transition. Thankfully, it's not super hot, but that can still be really taxing on a 40K bike leg in preparation for the 10K run.
Definitely. It puts you on the back foot from the start, and you really don't want that, as we saw Jack Sasinski also make his way up. He's in a little bit of no man's land there, so he'll be coming into transition on his own. It's a hard thing to do when you're there on your own. You know you've got riders coming from behind. He knows these four up front, but this really is a solid group of riders.
It really is impressive. The red colours, that is the South African, Henry Schumann. He's had some injury problems over the last 2 years, but he loves Queensland in particular. His brother lives in Brisbane, and he came here a little earlier after racing in the Middle East to visit his brother and his young nephew. So he feels very much at home in Australia.
He really does. He's part of that Bahrain endurance team, along with the likes of Hayden Wilde and Amelia Watkinson, who are obviously also racing today. But yeah, great to have Henry Schumann. He has had a lot of bad luck, some really nasty injuries requiring surgery, broken bones. So fantastic to have him here, fit and fast on the start line.
Heading back down the beach for the first of the women to make their way up onto the sand and then across into transition. And it's a handy lead as well.
It's interesting because I really expected our leader to be the likes of Lottie Wilms from the Netherlands. She is one of the strongest in the field. So we're going to get a name on that now. We're just running. It is Michaela Messer. There you go. So, you know, you think you've done your research on every single athlete, but every time there is always someone that comes and spoils the party for you. So brilliant swim by Michaela Messer.
That is a fantastic
And
performance.
this is Lottie Wilms coming out now. So this is who I thought would be leading the swim out here today. Lottie Wilms, she's renowned for her swimming. Recently raced the Ironman World Championships over in Kona, so it'll be interesting to see how she has recovered from that.
And pace.
Exactly, completely different pace. Yep.
And this is what we spoke about earlier with Ashley Gentle. The impressive thing about Ashley, she stepped up in distance. Her tempo hasn't dropped off at all. She's still going the same speed that she was in Olympic distance, and she's just doing longer.
Just going for double the distance. So look at this women's swim though. Like, honestly, I thought we were going to see a group of women out together, but it's completely split. So you've got Michaela out in front, Lottie Wilms on her own. We are expecting to see the likes of Fenella Langridge, Hannah De Witt, Hannah Knighton, and Probably Natalie Van Covenen, I would say, would be next. But look at this. It's just, there's Natalie Van Covenen now. But you can see that group of women behind. So great swimming from Michaela, though. Super impressive stuff there.
And that gives her clear air when she's in the transition as well. And despite starting 2 minutes behind the men, she's overtaken a number of the men on the way through. So it is Michaela Messer through in first position. Lotta Williams in second spot out of the water. It was then Natalie Van Covenen in third position.
And
Here comes a big group of the
big
women.
group with all the main players. I just saw Milan Agnew in that group. I saw Hannah Knighton in that group. There's Ash Gentle. Great swimming from Ash Gentle. She is right up there amongst it all. So terrific swim from Ash. She is setting herself up for a brilliant race today.
And she's going to have plenty of people around her on the bike as well that she can pick her way off. There's no drafting, but to have a character chase is really helpful.
Look, and it's great for us. It sets it up for a really exciting day. As you can see, Lotte Wilms taking that speed suit off. And helmet will go on, and she will be out of transition. We can see right behind us here, I love where our booth is here, I have to say. Our booth here for the live coverage, right on the finish line. We can see them going out on their bikes. We've just seen Michaela head out onto the 40-kilometre bike ride.
And Michaela, here she is in the purplish colours.
Purplish colour,
we'll
yep.
call those. And she's off to a nice start, heading out over the Garth Proud Bridge. She's got herself organised fairly quickly. This is one of the great advantages of having such a lead through the swim. You don't get flustered by having other people around you through transition.
No, you've nailed it. With that big group that's coming in, often it's very, very difficult. You get flustered and you make silly mistakes. Things like dropping water bottles and not doing your helmet up properly, and it makes it sloppy. So for the likes of Michaela and also Lotte, they had a nice, clean transition. You can see the first part of this bike course is actually quite technical. Loads of roundabouts, which Queensland is renowned for. And through Gympie Terrace here, the river here, there's lots of little bumps and speed bumps that they have to go through, another roundabout to negotiate.
We've got Jamie Riddle. He was the first out in the men's. Brandon Copeland was there as well in a pack of four, along with pre-race favourites Matt Hauser and Henry Schumann. And we've got Toby Coote on the bike, following the leaders. Toby, what can you tell us? Toby's got the throttle open on the Vespa to try and catch up with the leaders on the bike. In the women's, Toby, we've seen an impressive swim by Michaela Messer. She's out in front on her own, and then it's Lotte Williams chasing. You can't quite spot them yet because you're out ahead of the men's, but there's been some big gaps early in the women's race too, Toby. We're now looking at Henry Schumann in the red colours. He's third out on course. And Toby, you know how good this South African is when it comes to the run. He's just got to stick with them on the bike, surely. And a bit of work to be done by Hayden Wilde, the Kiwi, pre-race favourite. 7th out of the water, 39 seconds off the pace. Any concerns there, Toby? Toby, sorry, there's a mechanical problem. It's a rear wheel puncher for Michaela Messer. This is a disaster, Belinda Granger. She has done it perfectly through the swim, smooth through transition, rear wheel puncher. This is aspirations for Noosa over for Michaela.
Oh, look, it's an absolute disaster. But look, hats off to her. She's keeping her cool. Very, very difficult to remain cool. When you are leading the race, you just saw Lotte Wilms overtake her. Now Lotte Wilms is in the lead. But yeah, a disaster. only saving grace, it's happened early. We do have wheel changes, so I'm really hoping she's able to get that wheel change and that she can get back out on the course.
Now we're back with the lead men. This is Matt Hauser, who is out in front, and he's a strong swimmer, as you've mentioned. He's also super strong on the bike, and hey, he's one of the best triathletes in the world, so he can run too.
He really can. And what I love, and you mentioned it earlier, his attitude. The attitude that the athletes come to into this race in Noosa is like no other I've ever seen. They come here for the sheer love of the sport. All of us started somewhere. And all year these athletes are chasing points, they're chasing qualification. There's so much on the line. They come to the race here and it's almost like a celebration of a year long of getting up every morning, training. This is back to grassroots, back to why they started in the sport in the first place. And I love it. And Matty's been like that all week. He was in VIP here yesterday afternoon for Super Saturday, enjoying himself, cheering on the ASICS Bolt. He's a great athlete. And you know, he's just having fun out there today. And so far, it's working for him.
Well, fun is fast, and he's going really fast. It's Matt Hauser out in front, Jamie Riddle, Henry Schumann, the leading three men. Just briefly back to the women, Michaela Messer, transitioning from swimming to triathlon. Brilliant swim. Pure bad luck with the rear wheel puncher. That's out of her control. What would your advice be to her now if you could spend just 10 seconds with her?
Well, you know what? Looking at her and looking at her body language, she was doing everything that I would have told her to do anyway. She wasn't getting upset. She knows there's nothing she can do about it. Getting upset's just wasting energy that she can't afford to waste. So she needs to remain cool, see if she can get that rear wheel fixed, and then get herself back in the game. It's all about keeping that head in the game right now for Michaela.
And use this as an experience building block for future attempts to try and win the event.
Absolutely. And look, that was an incredible scene right there. We've got Lotte Wilms making her way through Gympie Terrace, but look what's coming at her. That is Ash Gentle on the front, and she has got to train a mile long behind her. Now, we are implementing the 12-metre rule here today for this race. So AusTri, big thank you to AusTri. They are out there with all their technical officials, and it will be the 12-metre rule. But you can see now Ash Gentle has a huge group behind her. We know the likes of Rochelle Hill, Hannah DeVette, Hannah Knighton, Fenella Language is also there, Milan Agnew, Natalie Van Covenden. The list just goes on. But what a huge group of women and men.
Yeah, that are trying to keep up with her. And that was Edward Vinning from the men's race, who's been caught and passed by Ashley Gentle, and Ashley Gentle started 2 minutes behind. Here's the leader in the women's race. This is Lotte Wilms, the Dutch woman who's been adopted as a Queenslander somewhat, and she's off to a really strong start. Speaking of strong starts, Matt Hauser.
Exactly. Both of these athletes doing everything right so far early on in this bike ride. As I mentioned, this first 10 kilometres is quite technical. So they make their way from downtown Noosa all the way out towards Tewantin, and it is very technical. Lots of tight turns, speed humps, a lot of road furniture to deal with. As you can see, another roundabout that he's about to go through. And this is the way it will be all the way to really the bottom of Garmin Hill.
Here is the bronze medalist from the Tokyo Olympics, the Kiwi with the Red Bull helmet on. That is Hayden Wilde. He has started as the pre-race favourite, but he came out of the swim with a 39-second deficit, and that's a lot of time to make up.
It is a lot of time for him to make up, but it's not something that Hayden's not used to. You know, he comes from an elite running background. He took up swimming quite late, so it's still a work in progress, as he says to me. So 39 seconds, it's not optimal, but I don't think it means his day is over. He's a very, very strong runner. He's done quite a bit more time trial training on the bike than some of the other short course athletes that we have racing here today. He knows the course. He's been over it several times. He's been here in Noosa for around a week. So while I'm not sure if he's going to be able to bridge across to that front group, I certainly think he should be able to get that deficit down somewhat. It
reminds me of the course record holder here in the women's race, Emma Carney, because she came from a running background. The swim was always her Achilles heel. She worked on it enough to neutralise it, and then she won 2 world titles.
Exactly. And you know, I see Hayden being able to do a similar thing today. Obviously, time will tell. We need to see what that deficit is into T2. But yeah, he's definitely such a class runner. Interesting fact, he was actually here back in, I think, at least 4 or 5 years ago, back when he was a 17 or 18-year-old, and he won King of the Mountain out at Pomona. So that is, I don't know it for all the locals, we know that race. It's an incredible race where they basically run straight up to the top of Pomona and straight down the other side, but he won it as a 17 or 18-year-old.
And he was an elite mountain biker as a junior, so his bike handling skills are exceptional. This is not a technical course on the bike, but the descent as they're coming back in towards town is quick. You can touch speeds of 90 plus k's per hour.
I think Craig Walton still holds the record for that. I think he went over 100.
Do you raise your bat like you do in cricket if you hit 100?
He should.
Not too far away from making the left-hand turn onto Garmin Hill. It's still Matt Hauser out in front, Jamie Riddle in second position, Henry Schumann in third spot. 10 kilometres covered so far in the bike leg. This is Lotte Wilms out in front for the women.
Yeah, Lotte Wilms, as we said, originally from the Netherlands, but has been basing herself here in Australia for quite some years now. She is fresh off the Ironman World Championships in Kona. She didn't have a great day there, but yeah, it'll be very interesting to see if she has the legs. I don't think we'll get to know that till we hit the run course. Fenella Langridge, another one of our athletes that was also in Kona, along with the likes of Sarah Crowley, both racing today. You can see they've made that left-hand turn now. This is the start of the infamous Garmin Hill, 3.1 kilometres in total.
Oh, here's a look at the course, a 40-kilometre bike leg, the classic Olympic distance. It's flat to start with as they leave transition in Noosa, and then they're on to Garmin Hill. You can see the squiggly line. That's the climb, a little over 3 kilometres in length, and it can have a big impact. It's then out to the turnaround, and when they do this 180-degree turnaround, it's a real opportunity for the leaders to assess the chasers, and likewise for the chasers to try and work out whether they're faking it or not out in front that they're about to blow up. Toby Coots has taken the easy option. He's on the back of the motorbike, but he's on Garmin Hill. Toby, what can you tell us?
Oh, mate, I tell you, it's not easy out here, mate. These guys are absolutely flying. Hayden Wilde has just bridged them to the bottom of Garmin Hill. Following in behind him, he was sitting on between 55 and 58 kilometres an hour to bridge the gap. What he's done, he's caught him and gone straight past him and now putting him in the hurt locker up the hill.
That is incredible. 39 seconds was his deficit out of the swim. I was asking Belinda Granger, Toby, the question of, that's a lot of work, a lot of ground to make up. Not even halfway through the bike leg, and the pre-race favourite has hit the front, Toby.
Oh, mate, phenomenal watching behind him. Like, he did not get off the tri-bars. Around the corners, he was just in that line position and just going for it. So he's really starting to just put a little bit of pressure on these guys on the start of the hill. And we're starting to see him just drop a little bit of gaps between the boys.
10 kilometres into it, this is a time check from 10 k's into it, he'd made up 35 seconds within the first 10 k's on the bike. Non-drafting is perfect for Hayden Wilde.
Oh, look, you know, we know how strong he is in the draft legal aspect of what we do, what he does and how he goes about doing it. But to come out and do it, but not to put 39 seconds into Matty Hauser and the boys. Brandon Copeland has been he's dropped off. He wasn't able to hold the pace going in and going through on the back stretches. But, yeah, they're just stringing. He's stringing them out, mate. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him up the front by himself at the top of Garmin Hill.
He's impressive. Coming from a cycling background, having spent a fair bit of time on mountain bikes as a kid, he's so at ease on the bike, Toby.
Oh, he is, and you can just see there is no wasted energy. The shoulders aren't moving. He's just compact on the bike. I've got Matty Hauser in behind. You can just see he's got a little bit of shoulder movement and a head bobbing going through. So we know he's under pressure, but he knows he can't let Hayden get away because that's the race sitting right there in front of him.
It is indeed the big pre-race favourite. He's the #2 Olympic distance triathlete in the world at the moment, Belinda Granger. This is impressive early in the race by the Kiwi.
You know what? I knew he was going to make some time up. I mentioned it, but I did not think he was going to make this big a chunk of time up. And, you know, is there anything this young boy can't do? He's only just turned 26 years of age. He's actually the current world super sprint champ. So, new one this year for World Triathlon. So, he is the current world super sprint champ. Won it back in earlier this year in Hamburg. We know he's the bronze medalist from the Tokyo Olympics. We know he's an incredible runner. I think he holds a 28 or 29 minute PB for 10K. There's nothing this young man can't do. And I think a lot of people, not that I like to use the term wrote him off, but I've been here for the last week with Hayden, and even though he plays the happy-go-lucky character, I could tell that he meant serious business. He is here today for the win and nothing else.
This is Jake Birtwistle. He has won this race twice. He's on Garmin Hill, and you can see that he's no longer in in the skis. He's not in the aero position. He's down onto the bullhorns. He's trying to maximise the oxygen intake to clear the system of the lactic acid.
And that's interesting. That's the difference, I think, between a lot of our longer distance athletes and shorter distance athletes. You'll notice that most of our longer distance athletes will stay down in the aero bars pretty much the entire time up Garmin. It is not a particularly steep ascent, but a lot of our short course athletes that aren't used to being down in that time trial position, you'll see them get up and out of the saddle several times throughout this Garmin Hill.
It's still lots of Wilms in the green colours, who's leading the women's race. Amongst the chasers, this is now Rochelle Hill. There's a good group of riders who are working together without drafting.
So that is Rochelle Hill on the left. She's our youngest in the field at 21 years of age. She is the daughter of Rena Hill, Rena Bradshaw back in the day, one of the greatest short course athletes that Australia has ever had. And on her right side was Fenella Langridge from Great Britain, one of our long distance experts. So amazing to see these two athletes, both completely different in the distances that they excel at.
You spoke before about Hayden Wilde and his persona. You see some athletes that are amongst the best in the world and they can be accused of being arrogant. He's not arrogant, but he's confident. He's got a self-assuredness about him that he doesn't need to talk himself up. He lets his legs do the talking.
Absolutely. Look, I cannot say enough good stuff about Hayden Wilde. He's that quietly well, he's not quietly confident. He's happy-go-lucky. He loves the sport. It is obvious that he loves the sport. He loves travelling, and he loves meeting new people. He's been here for over a week now. He's been swimming up with Johnny Rogers up at the Noosa Aquatic Centre and absolutely loving it. He knows that Jan Frodeno swims with Johnny Rogers. He knows Braden Curry, his fellow countryman, also swims with JR. So great now to have another Kiwi, the youngster in Hayden Wilde, also here in Noosa and really enjoying his time here.
He's riding strongly on Garmin Hill. He's almost over the top, but he has not blown this field away. Matt Hauser is in second spot. Jamie Riddle is then in third position. And in the red colours at the rear of the group as they make the right-hand turn off the top of the climb, that is Henry Schumann. There are 4 athletes with a genuine chance of winning this race, Belinda Granger.
Yeah, look, I have a feeling it's going to come down to that last ASICS 10K run, as it should. I would love to see, I'm being very, very selfish here now, but I would love to see a sprint finish.
This is Lotte Wilms leading the women's race. We're now joined by the managing director of Ironman Oceania, who organised this event, Jeff Meyer. You've been here at the Noosa Triathlon for more than 20 years.
Yeah, correct. 22, I think this is now. So, yeah, part of the furniture.
We've seen a lot of change in those 22 years.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, it's gone from now being one of the oldest triathlons in the world. It's now the largest triathlon in the world. And the fantastic thing is we've now got a shoe in its 15th generation named after us as well. So, yeah, a lot has changed. And
it's a really loud shoe, the ASICS Noosa Triathlon shoe. You've got to be going well to wear such a brave, bright shoe, I reckon.
That's what Noosa Tri is all about. It's loud and proud and like all the athletes out there and what you'll see tonight in Noosa, having a fantastic time of it all. Yeah, it is a great place to be.
Another thing that this event does is we turn our attention back towards the leading women, Belinda.
That is Fenella Langridge now. That looks like she is either about to take the lead. Last check, she was about 10 to 12 seconds down on Lotte Wilms here on screen right now. But Fenella Langridge was always my pick to be one of the strongest swim bikers in the field. As you can see her there. Right now we've got Wilms, followed by Langridge, Rochelle Hill, daughter of Rena Hill, Hannah DeVet, and Ash Gentle. So a big group of women.
And 2 internationals inside the top 10. Wilms from the Netherlands in first position. De Vet from Belgium in 4th spot. And it's then the defending champion, Gentle, in 5th position. She's just at 15 seconds behind. This is Lotte Wilms at the front in the green colours. Jeff, this event, in addition to building for an even bigger future, and we saw some of that yesterday with Super Saturday, it pays its respect to the past. And on Thursday, there was a really special occasion for the Walk of Fame with Dave Power and Joe Gilbert posthumously inducted into the Walk of Fame. Their role in this event, enormous.
Yeah, it was really special. I mean, we're talking 40 years ago, they wanted to create a charity event for the Olympic appeal, the days when you actually had to sort of pretty much pay your own way. They wanted to start a marathon, but back in those days in Noosa, there wasn't really enough sealed road to get 42 kilometres. And this new sport of triathlon was just emerging, and yeah, they picked triathlon, and I'm very glad they did.
So the fact that there wasn't enough road to do a marathon in Noosa in 1983, so they did a triathlon, shows how much the event and the town have grown together.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, look, the core is always the triathlon, but now we've got 10 sporting events and 8 social events across the last sort of 5 days. So it's an amazing week of sport, and it's just got that special atmosphere and vibe that everyone loves.
I reckon there's a whole bunch of people that were coming here in the 90s that wish they had bought that property back in the 1990s in Noosa.
Yes, I think we all do.
We all still talk about it.
What do you look forward to the most over the weekend? When the weekend goes from Wednesday to Sunday, by the way.
Exactly. Look, we kick off on Wednesday morning. Look, I love getting to today. We always sort of say we go into a bit more of an automatic pilot.
This is a look at the leaderboard in the men's. It's Hayden Wilde at the front, the Aussie Matt Hauser just behind him. It's then Jamie Riddle, Henry Schumann, 2-time winner Jake Birtwistle in 5th position. Kurt McDonald from Camperdown is in 6th spot. It's then Jamie Copeland, who swam so well. The defending champion Charlie Quinn is in 8th position. What I like about this event, Jeff, is that I get to watch the likes of Hayden Wilde in action, Ashley Gentle or Natalie Van Coverden, and then we come to the Olympic Games, which will be in Paris in 2024. We see them battling it out for the medals.
100%. I mean, look, it's such a quality field. They're all great hopefuls for Paris. It's an exciting day. This
is Devette, and she's brilliant on the bike. She's out here with her partner. Her boyfriend is Hayden Wilde. He's leading the men's race, and they're trying to do the double. We saw that at the 70.3
Langkawi. That's right, in Langkawi, Malaysia, with Ash Gentle and her husband, Josh Amberger. Are we going to see the same today? I'm not sure. Look, Hannah, very new over this distance, is definitely a short course athlete. She's only dabbled in slightly longer than this on a few occasions. Only arrived from Europe on Tuesday. That's a quick turnaround. This lady, on the other hand, now leading the race, so she has overtaken Lottie Wilms, that is Fenella Langridge from Great Britain, has been in Australia for a couple of weeks, came straight from, had a little bit of an interlude in Fiji, a little bit of a holiday after the Ironman World Championships for 5 days, where she got engaged to her now fiancé, Billy Harris. But they have been here in Noosa for over 2 weeks. She has been over this course many, many times, knows it back to front, so I'm really, really interested to see how Fenella is going to run today, because she's setting herself up for a great race so far.
Hayden Wilde still leading in the men's race. This is Hannah Devette. She's really strong on the bike, and she's taken a little while to adapt to the time zone here, and she was amazed on Thursday when we got a chance to talk to her that you can go to a cafe at 6 o'clock and it's already bustling in the morning.
That's right. Oh, that was funny.
That's the Noosa lifestyle, that the sun rises here at 4:30 in the morning. Everyone gets up, enjoys that morning. And obviously coffee is a big part of that.
She also declared it the fittest town on the planet for this weekend.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Matt Hauser is doing a brilliant performance here. He's been to this event, Jeff. I think this is his 8th time here, but his first time actually competing in the triathlon.
I loved what he sort of said at a couple of other functions at the Legends the other night. He's been here 8 times, but he wanted to show the event the respect that it deserves, and this is the first time. So I've got a feeling he's my pick today. I think he really wants this. He loves the event, and like I said, he wants to show it the respect it deserves, and yeah, good luck to him.
And Belinda, he's racing smartly. He's staying on terms with Hayden Wilde without wasting any energy on the bike leg.
No, he is. As I said, 12-metre rule being implemented here today. He's letting Hayden set the pace, and he just has to follow at that 12-metre mark. Same with it can be said for Henry Schumann. They're playing a smart game so far on that ride out to Karoi. Now, what we should tell, even though this is the time trial section of the course, like the pure time trial section of the course, it is slightly uphill all the way out to Karoi. Once they make that 180-degree turn, it will be slightly downhill, although they will have to contend with that little bit of breeze on the way home.
Devette has hit the fronts, so the Belgium has overtaken the Dutch woman at the head of the women's race. It is then Langridge who's in 3rd position.
Wow, well, that's really interesting. Hannah, I'm really surprised. I know she's a very strong bike rider, but I did not expect her to be leading the race this early on in the piece.
Is she looking to build up a lead before the run?
That could be the case. I mean, would you like to get off the bike with the likes of Ash Gentle?
No, of course not.
No.
I would rather get a time check on a calendar than a stopwatch to try and beat Ashley Gentle across the finish line in Noosa. How important has Ashley Gentle been to this event, Jeff? She is a huge part of it.
Yeah, look, Emma Snowsill won this, event 5 times. Obviously winning gold in Beijing. I never thought that would be broken, let alone Ash has just come through, and for her to, achieve 10 today is absolutely insane. She's a fantastic lady with so much talent.
She's a great ambassador for the sport, for the event, and for the town of Noosa as well. Toby Coote, you're with the leading women, and we've got a new leader. Hannah DeVette has taken charge on the bike leg.
Yeah, they have. We've just got over the top of Garmin Hill. This is where we can open the legs up and get going and start pushing through. Hannah there out in front. Our defending champion is also in and amongst there. So the top 6 girls are within that 50 metres of each other.
She is riding brilliantly. You can see classic Belgium sponsor. She's sponsored by Lotto, which is a bike team as well, where we've had Robbie McEwen, who's won here 8 times in the Criterium. Jeff, thanks for joining us. You can enjoy the rest of the day. It is a big one for your organisation.
It is. It's a fantastic day, and I can't wait to sort of get everyone across the finish line, and everyone then can relax.
And they can enjoy the after party.
Yeah, exactly. And I can thank my staff.
Jeff Meyer doing a brilliant job of putting this event on. Hayden Wilde still leading. Matt Hauser in second spot. Henry Schumann. And Hayden Wilde is not happy. He is yelling at the motorbike, what about the 12 metres? Expletive, expletive.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a shake of the head there. It often happens. Hayden knows he's in very, very good form. He also knows that he doesn't want to come into transition with the likes of Henry Schumann or Matty Hauser, both 2 incredible runners right there. So he wants them to make sure that they are officiating that 12 metres spot on. He doesn't want these men behind him getting any chance of staying with him throughout that last 20 kilometres back into transition.
Fenella Langridge from Great Britain riding the Trek bike. She's riding a really big gear.
That is typical long distance athlete for you.
It's quite a low cadence, isn't it?
It really is. And look, it'll be very interesting, as I said, these women, both Lotte on screen now and Fenella. It was only back in October that they raced the Ironman World Championships. That is probably the biggest race of the year for these women. So it will be interesting to see how they have recovered. But yeah, big year for Fenella. That's the norm for Fenella. Very, very powerful, very strong bike rider.
That is a low cadence. That looks like it's around about 80 RPM. This is from the British athlete. This is Langridge, who got out of the swim with a deficit of around about 20 seconds or so. So she's made up a lot of ground on the bike. She's riding strongly. No, she's a very strong swim biker. She can also run. A lot of the times, as a long-distance athlete, people forget that these athletes can actually still run. And Fenella, I've seen some of her track sessions that she's done, and she's a very, very accomplished runner. She's had a great year this year as well. So, she's ranked number 20 on the PTO ranking, 31 years of age, recently engaged. So she's in a really good headspace right now. She's here with her fiance. They're staying all the way through till, I think, Ironman Busselton. So she's racing down in Canberra, Challenge Canberra, and then she's doing Ironman Busselton in December. So still a lot of racing left for Fenella Langridge. But look at that gear, you're right. It's around that 75 to 80. But she really is all class, and she's riding very, very well now. Yeah, she is riding impressively. This is Lotte Wilms, who was second out of the swim, leading for a long time on the bike. Born and bred in the Netherlands, but calls Queensland home for a large portion of the year now, Belinda.
Yeah, she does. And look, Lotte's had a really solid year as well. As I said, 26th at the Ironman World Championships back in Kona in October. Probably not the race that she wanted, but certainly not a bad race. She was third in Geelong, 70.3 back here in Australia in March. She won Ironman Austria as well this year, along with Challenge St. Polten. So there's been a couple of wins for Lotte this year as well, so she's had a solid year.
Matt Hauser still in second position. This is Henry Schumann, the South African. He's in third spot on the road. He's returning from injury. He's had a tough 2 years. He's been Olympic representative for South Africa in the past, and he's got big ambitions for Paris.
Yeah, I'd love to see Henry Schumann back on doing the Olympic dream. We know he was the bronze medalist from the 2016 Olympics in Rio, and he has had just some rotten luck in the last couple of years. But he's come back with a vengeance, and was lucky enough to catch up with him earlier this week, and he's just so happy to be here. So great to see him out on course right now, racing well.
Well, Toby Coote is also on course. He's with the leading men. Toby, you may not have seen it, but a couple of moments ago, we saw Hayden Wilde looking frustrated that Matt Hauser was less than 12 metres behind him.
Well, I think Matty's game plan today is to follow whatever Hayden does. He's just marking him. That's what he's got to do. Hayden's going to try and break him. That's what's going to happen. He's going to get frustrated, but if Matty's 12 metres behind, he can't do much about it. That's the rules.
Can that be an energy waster for Hayden if he focuses too much on what's happening behind him?
Yeah, he can, and probably one of the sensible thing is probably to sit up, make him go to the front, do a turn, and then come around and hit him and do it that way. But probably Hayden just wants to, he's got a game plan, he knows what he's sticking to, and that's what he's doing out the front. We're just going over a few little rolling hills, and it looks like Schumann's starting to drop off a little bit, so the two boys are out there in front with a little bit of a gap back to our third place boy.
What sort of gaps have you got back to fourth position? Can you see that gap?
Nah, they are that far behind. It's not funny, mate. This is where it's going to come from. The person that did look comfortable that I saw coming up over Garmin Hill was Jake Birtwistle, but mate, he's going to run, similar times to these guys. He's got to be off the bike with him, and I can't see him bridging that. I'm looking behind now, and I can't see any bikes behind.
It's an impressive lead group, Toby. We've got two Olympic bronze medalists. The bronze medalist from Tokyo, out in front, Hayden Wilde. Bronze medalist from Rio in 2016, Henry Schumann, in third position. And Matt Hauser, the Aussie qualifier for Paris, sitting in second spot, stalking the leader. This is an incredible race.
It is, and mate, I've got the best job. I'm sitting on the back of a motorbike following and watching what's going on, mate. I love this job. It's so good here, and epic 40th year as well.
Mate, you've got the second best job. I've got the best job because I'm now joined by the winner of this race in 2021, Willian. And this is a world-class event, the men's race. This is a good decision for you to be in commentary with us today, Luke.
Yeah, it's not a bad decision today. I'm kind of actually a bit FOMO at the moment, missing out, because when I saw the guys come out of the water, I'm like, oh man, I would really love to be out there.
We've got Ashley Gentle. She's looking for win at number 10. She's going to be tough to beat today.
For sure. I kind of thought that when she came out the water, I was like, oh, this is perfect position for her. She's right in the mix here. She's, normally chasing, but she didn't leave herself with much to chase today, so that makes it pretty good for her, and hopefully she can get number 10.
Now, you won back here in 2021?
Yeah.
So take us through that. What did it mean to you and your career to win this race?
Oh, it's huge. Obviously, you grow up watching Noosa Tri, and you see, all your heroes that you kind of looked up to have won this race, and to win that and do that, that was a really special day, and I'll remember it forever.
Now, you cheated yesterday. You won the Legends Triathlon, but I'm going to put in a protest because you were on the team. Courtney Atkinson was on the team who's won here before, and one of the world's best triathletes, Sergio Baxter, was also on the team. We need to separate you guys. Yeah,
maybe. I was quite happy with the team to be personally, but yeah, I thought it was very much ours to lose, and we worked really hard. Yeah, they made me work though. I had to run a 4-minute 1500 to kind of get there. So yeah, that was a fun day.
Did you really?
Yeah.
So it was meant to be fun. You had Glenn McGrath out there taking shortcuts. He did one no ball.
Exactly.
But then you ran a 1500.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was
not fun.
And Matt, that was after riding 212 kilometres from Brizzy all the way to the Sunshine Coast the day before.
You know the roads are fine to use a vehicle.
No, it was something to do. I'm on break, so, something fun to do. It's something you don't often get to do a lot, and I was like, oh, let's see how hard we can make it. We got about 3,000 metres elevation, and yeah, it was a good day out.
Give us your thoughts on the race leader at the moment, Hayden Wilde.
Yeah, he's looking really good. He's done everything he needed to do. After being a little bit down in the swim, he's, bridged that gap before the hill, which is, I think, is always really important, so you don't have to gas yourself to get to the top, and then able to set in your rhythm all the way back home for the fastest part of the course. And
Ashley Gentle is now closing in. She's up into second spot on the bike. It's Langridge who is leading. We spoke about Langridge a couple of moments ago, Luke, about her low cadence. Yeah, it is quite low. We're often taught to have it a bit higher because that, the first K of the run often is just reflective of your cadence on the bike. So maybe she might pick it up a little bit into the end, or it's just what she feels comfortable doing. And you can see that water bottle that she's got on the bike. She's also got one up at the handlebars. I'm tipping that one on the bike is empty, and it's purely for aerodynamics. Yeah, pretty much. There's so much aero gains now. You look at Henry Schumann, he's got his bottle in his chest, and that's supposedly one of the cheapest ways you can get aero gains. So it keeps changing, this sport. The front ends have changed so much, and everyone's trying to find every watt they can get. And Ashley Gentle, her cadence is a lot higher than what we're seeing from Langridge, and she's stepped away from the Olympic distance predominantly this year. She now steps back for this event because it's so special to her. But it looks as she's gone up to the half Ironman distance. Her pace hasn't changed. She's just been doing it for longer.
Yeah, exactly. Ash is a super athlete. You know, she's won world champs at Gold Coast in 2018. Like, she's a phenomenal athlete and loves this race, and she's going to be tough to beat on that run because she is rapid. She is a superstar athlete, winning this race at 9 times. She's the poster person for this event.
She really is, and what I loved, the quote that she made, that this race makes her realise that there is more to racing or more to the sport than just winning, that it's more about the celebration of the sport.
This is Langridge still out in front. What's next for you, Luke?
On a bit of a break now, then obviously looking to build towards next year, Olympic selections on the line. So Yokohama is our next automatic qualification opportunity.
When's that?
About mid-May it will be. So top 8 there. We'll let you join Matt on the team and off to Paris, and which will be really exciting.
That'd be enormous to get to go to the Olympics in Paris.
Oh, it would be. After just missing out for Tokyo in 2021, the last 3 years has all been geared towards that, really.
We've got some Olympic medalists that are at the front of the race in the men's event. Hayden Wilde, bronze at the last Olympics. Henry Schumann, bronze the Olympics before that. It speaks volumes of the quality of the Noosa Triathlon.
Oh, it does. Henry Schumann's come out before, and I think he's come second, so he's hungry for that win. Hauser's waited multiple years before he's like, I'm going to race this so I can race the best I can.
And the best there is in the history of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon is Ashley Gentle, and Belinda Granger, the superstar 9-time winner, has just hit the front.
She has, and it doesn't surprise me at all. She knows this course back to front, inside out, better than anyone else on the course out there. But what I love is that these women aren't going to make it easy for us. So you've got Lottie Wilms already saying, you know what, nope, not fast enough. But this is a little tricky here, Matt. The women are going to have to really keep their wits about them, because you can see that it keeps bunching up and they keep coming in inside that 12 metres. They've got to make sure that they keep pushing back. Ash Gentle doing it to perfection right now. She can see that Lottie went round her. Straight away, as soon as Lottie's front wheel goes past Ash's front wheel, Ash must drop back that 12 metres, and she's done so brilliantly.
So it is lots of films at the front in the green colours. Ashley Gentle is in second spot. It's Fenella Langridge in third position. And in fourth, it's Hannah de Vet. So 4 strong at the front of the women's race, 3 strong at the front of the men's race. We are set for a brilliant 10K run.
Oh, for sure. It's going to be riveting, that 10K run, especially the girls' race with just a few more girls. It's going to be a massive group.
We're seeing one of the race officials there, Belinda, exactly what you spoke about. The experience of Ashley Gentle, she drops back automatically the 12 metres. And the officials just reminding the other 2 in that leading group of 4, 12 metres, here's the tape measure.
Exactly. And I need a little bit of a reminder every now and again. But I'd love to get Luke's prediction coming into transition. If you were a betting man, who's the faster runner out of Schumann, Wilde and Hauser?
I think it's really a toss of a coin at the moment. Hayden's been, probably the quickest all year over 10K, but Hauser is rapid over that last K. That's what got him a win in Montreal this year. And then Henry Schumann, bronze medalist. He's had a bit of bad luck this year, but he's, you can't count him out either. But yeah, it's pretty much a top flick of the coin right now.
So could we be lucky enough to get a 3-way sprint finish?
Maybe. I think it's probably just a bit too hard of a course to get that. I think it's one of those days where it's kind of you grind it out all day, and it's the strongest athlete at the end of the day wins.
Whoever's got the legs at that last kilometre.
So in setting up for the run, how important is it to get through the bike economically? And is this put a bit of pressure on Hayden Wilde being the one that's leading? Even though there's that 12-metre gap, Hayden Wilde has been the one that's been setting the tempo.
Definitely. I think just making sure you get your nutrition in is key here, because you've got the group of 3. You might plan an attack towards the end maybe, but you got to get your nutrition in when you're right on the limit. So that's probably the most important thing right now, because you know who's there. You're going to have to leave it all out there on the run. So any little edge you can get, you're going to take.
Edition number 40 for the Garmin Noosa Triathlon, and so far only 5 internationals have won in the men's event. The leading group of 3, there's one Aussie in there, Matt Hauser, there's a Kiwi, and there's a South African. We could have an international winner here, Luke.
We really could. Again, all those guys can win, and I'm looking forward to the run and seeing who's handled this bike the best. But yeah, I think it's going to be an exciting race to watch.
Well, thanks for joining us. The winner of this event in 2021. Obviously, it's really significant in your career. Good luck for qualifying for Paris.
Cheers, guys.
Well, Luke William, the winner of this race in 2021. Belinda, he gets to go and enjoy the VIP tent now, and they've got Asahi bowls out there.
I'm starting to see, yep, that the champagne is flowing.
Already?
Already. I'm telling you, 7:15. We start things early here in Noosa. I told you that.
That is really early. I thought it was still coffee o'clock. This is Hayden Wilde out in front. He's been leading the whole way through the bike leg, and now seen some changes, Belinda, at the head of the women's race. Langridge, she keeps on working at the front. She keeps on trying to pour on the pressure.
Look, Fenella knows that if she's got any chance of making that podium today, she needs to make these women hurt, and she needs to make them hurt right now. I'm not talking the likes of Ash Gentle. We know Ash Gentle, it's impossible to make her hurt on the bike. But those women, there's 7 women in that lead group now, Matt, and she needs to make sure that those women get off the bike with tired legs.
And Toby is with the leading women, and they're on the descent heading back towards Noosaville, Toby.
Yeah, they're just a little bit of a headwind out here at the moment, and they're just toing and froing. We just had a lead change going through. Annie DeVette's been doing a lot of the work on the front. Ash Gentle's just comfortable, mate. Like the Queen of Noosa, you don't get that title for no reason at all. And she knows what she's got to do. She's sitting really, really nicely there, third back. The other one that looks really comfortable that I can see is Nat Van Coverton. She's just buying her time and just sitting in there and just controlling what these girls were sitting on around that 45 to 50 kilometres an hour at the moment.
So we haven't seen much coverage of Nat Van Coverton throughout the race, Toby. She's just popping into the long-range shot now. So she's been riding a really patient, under-the-radar race.
Yeah, she has. And that's the one thing I'm looking at the moment. She's just sitting there and controlling what she's doing. The other one, and I said to you, is a smoky, is Rochelle Hill. She's looking quite comfortable on there. I know she's the youngest one out of all these girls up the front and a newbie, but she has been running really, really well. So the confidence for her being in amongst these, legends of the sport is pretty epic for her too.
So it's a really strong group of 6, almost 7 at the front of the race for the women.
Yeah, there's 7 girls there. Soph Malawecki brings up the rear of those girls. So she's another strong runner as well. So it's going to be a good battle for the girls, mate. I'm looking forward to this.
Have you ever seen this many athletes in contention this deep into the Noosa Triathlon, Toby?
Not in the last 10 years, no. There's always been like 2 or 3 or 1 away and that kind of stuff. But to have 7 girls in, where we can just about approach the downhill section of the Noosa part, no, never seen it in the last 10 years.
And Toby, I can tell you, I just got a very firm finger wave from Belinda Granger to indicate, we've never seen it this strong before.
No, and mate, it just shows the calibre of female athletes that we have in our sport. And I mean, like the guys, the ding-dong battle out the front, but mate, the girls' race is going to be an even better battle.
It is. Belinda, you were hoping for a 3-way sprint in the men's race. We've got 7 athletes in contention in the women's race.
Yeah, look, it's going to be interesting. Obviously, there's a big difference in their running abilities. Tobes, I'd love to get your thoughts. Do you think Fenella and Lottie keep swapping turns on the front there? It's almost like they're purposely just trying to make as many women as they can suffer on this bike. Do you think that's their plan, so that they come into T2 with tired legs? Oh, we've lost him. Looks like we've lost Tobes. That's okay. I know what the answer would be. It'll be yes, they are.
Well, we're back. I never ask a question you don't know the answer to. Isn't that right with politicians?
Absolutely.
Over a bridge, heading back in towards transition.
So he's now heading back along Gympie Terrace. So he's gone over that bridge into the Noosa River area. So this is better known as Gympie Terrace. A few little speed humps here to contend with on the way back.
This is where they had the kids' super try yesterday.
They did.
It was bustling.
Yeah, it's a beautiful part of Noosa. We often go there on a Sunday afternoon for a picnic. Beautiful place to watch the sun go down. Right now, I think that a picnic's the last thing on Hayden Wilde's mind as he makes his way back into transition. He looks very focused, very comfortable.
Speed hump not slowing him down
Not at all, not one little bit. So he knows that this 10K is going to be very, very demanding. He's got those 2 men behind him, all 3 superb runners, so we are in for an absolute treat.
The women, they're now on the fastest part of the descent. I'm expecting speeds of close to 90 k's per hour.
Yeah, look, I was talking to Fenella Langridge about this descent. I told her that she needed to do it a few times. You can see those tech officials there making sure that the women keep it clean. Very difficult. They give a little bit of leeway down that descent just because it's very, very difficult to keep that 12 metres. But once they get down on the flat here, those tech officials will be making sure that these women keep that 12-metre draft.
Lots of films at the front. It's then Langridge, followed by DeVette. It's then Ashley Gentle and Natalie Van Coveren. She is in this group. We've barely spotted her. She is under the radar. She's a real candidate for Australia to go to the Olympics next year, and this would be a huge moment for her if she was able to get the win.
Look, I've got so much respect for Natalie Van Coveren. I was lucky enough to spend some time in Girona earlier this year, and she's amazing. She's on every start list. She races week in, week out for Australia. She really does. She races more than any other short course athlete I know. She last raced here in 2019, and you know, she's had a little bit of a disruptive year with coaches. At the moment, she doesn't have a coach. I know she's getting some advice from Dan Atkins, but she's been doing it for Australia, wearing the colours for Australia for so long now. She truly is incredible athlete. I would love to see Natalie Van Coveren finish on the podium here today.
Well, that was at the front of the race with Hayden Wilde, and it looks like he's started to open up a gap now on Matt Hauser.
Well, as we said, we know that Hayden Wilde has exceptional bike handling skills, and while this course, yes, it is not technical, the last bits of this course, the roundabouts that you have to negotiate, the speed humps. I mean, in Queensland, we have roundabouts to go into roundabouts, to go out at roundabouts. So it's quite technical, but right now he's on Noosa Parade. He is on the final kilometres of this 40-kilometre bike course, so it is not long now before we see him change those bike shoes for run shoes and head out on that ASICS 10K run.
You're right about the roundabouts. I flew into Brisbane and drove from Brisbane up into Noosa. Not a single traffic light, but I lost count of the roundabouts.
Honestly, when I first moved up here, I couldn't stop laughing. We are lucky. We have, I think in Noosa alone, we have one set of traffic lights at a school. Other than that, it is all roundabouts, roundabout city.
And this is Speed City out in front with Hayden Wilde. He looked frustrated at the midway point on the bike leg because he didn't believe that the 12-metre gap was being applied. And he has poured the pressure on. He's now started to open up an advantage over Matt Hauser. You can see the distance. This is Matt Hauser now we're on board with, and I cannot see Hayden Wilde.
No, they did. This is impressive. This is impressive riding for Hayden Wilde, those final 5 to 10 kilometres. You can see now that's one of the bridges. They will run over this bridge on 2 occasions, so on the way out, on the way back. That's about as big a rise in the run that you will get. But you can see right now the crowds will start to thicken as he makes his way in towards Noosa. But it's pointless getting frustrated. So that's just wasting energy. There's nothing he can do about it. Like Tobe said to us on the bike, there are officials out on course. They're doing their job. He just needs to concentrate on doing his job, which is getting to transition as fast as possible.
Well, Henry Schumann, he's in 3rd position. The gap has opened up to him. Matt Hauser in 2nd spot. This is Hayden Wilde at the front as the age groupers are making their way out. Their heads are almost falling off as they twist to try and keep an eye on the speed of the leader of the elite men's race, Hayden Wilde. He is breaking the speed limit here. The speed limit is 40 k's per hour. He will be doing closer to 50 k's per hour.
Well and truly, the one and only time you are allowed to, it's legal to speed on Noosa Parade.
And Matt Hauser is going to need the speed in the run to stand any chance of challenging the Kiwi, Hayden Wilde.
And you look, it puts you in such a great headspace too. You can see now he's just about to come up and over the famous Garth Proud Bridge, named after the man that pretty much took Noosa Triathlon to the absolute next level, where we see it today. But you can see great aerial shot as he makes his way up over Garth Proud Bridge.
Garth Proud, the godfather of Australian triathlon, unfortunately, sadly passed away a few years ago after an accident in Spain, but he has done so much for triathlon, also supported a lot of cyclists. Here is Hayden Wilde. His feet are out of the shoes. He's ready to hop off and start running in transition. It's been a dominant bike performance. Let's not forget, coming out of the swim, Hayden Wilde was at 39 seconds off the pace. Pete Murray, Hayden Wilde is flying as he goes past you.
Oh, yeah, here he is coming into transition right now. We're down at the dismount line. See Hayden Wilde there from New Zealand. This man is the real deal. He's come to Noosa for the first time. He's opened up a lead over the Aussie in Matt Hauser. The 4th leg of the transition, the triathlon is the transition, and in about a minute and a half's time, we'll see the Kiwi come on out. We can see him now on the big screen going into transition. We know Matty Hauser's in 2nd. This is going to be a very interesting part of the race where we'll see how he is. Here comes Matty Hauser coming on into the dismount line. Beautiful dismount right on the line. They do have to get off that bike before the line, the Aussie. But Hayden Wilde from New Zealand, he's in, he's out, and going to come back onto Noosa Parade very shortly. What a commanding bike ride he did have. He took it to the Aussie, he took it to the South African and Henry Schoeman, and here comes Henry now over the Garth Proud Bridge. So it's a real battle. Australia versus New Zealand and South Africa. So very shortly, we might just stay with the action. We're going to see Hayden Wilde, the world number 2 of the World Triathlon Series, come out onto Noosa Parade. And what separates him now from the bike to the run finish is 10 kilometres of ASICS course. So this guy is the real deal. I said it before. He has come onto this triathlon scene over the last couple of years, and the Kiwi is absolutely on fire.
Pete Murray down on course. He's the voice of triathlon here in Australia. He calls all the big finishes. He'll be taking the winners across the finish line in a little over 30 minutes, perhaps, for Hayden Wilde, the way he's performing. This is the South African, Henry Schoeman, in 3rd position now in 33-second advantage for Hayden Wilde to 2nd place Matt Hauser. It's 1 minute and 18 seconds back to Henry Schoeman. Hayden Wilde came out of the swim 39 seconds off the pace. We thought he might break them on the run leg. He has broken them on the bike leg.
And he's almost put the same deficit that he had out of the swim onto them.
But look at this, Matt Hauser. Pete, back to you,
here?
Matt Hauser. Incredible transition. This is extraordinary. The 2 leaders are back together again. What happened in transition? We're not sure. Maybe Hayden Wilde didn't have his Garmin with him and he got lost.
For the first time in my life, I am speechless. I don't know what's happened here, but...
Hang on. You said you're speechless, but you're still talking.
Only for a second. So we're not
sounds
quite
like
sure.
there was an issue with his bike. His bike fell off the rack, so he had to go back and put his bike back on the rack. Well, Melbourne Cup weekend is coming up. This is handicap racing. We're bringing it all back together.
Absolutely. Well, I want that sprint finish, don't I? So, I put in that order a month ago. But that's exactly right. When you rack your bike, it must be racked in the exact position that your name is on, and it must be racked correctly. So he obviously, just a little bit too quick transition. He wanted to get out of sight, out of mind, so that Matty Hauser didn't get a sniff of him. But it's backfired. He's had to go back, correct his bike, and that's why we're now seeing Matty Hauser and Hayden Wilde together onto the run.
And Charlie Quinn is also on his way back into transition, but that is a big opportunity now for Matt Hauser. The gap, 1 second as they exited the transition. It puts him back in the mix.
So that was Kurt McDonald there as well. We knew that he was going to have a very strong swim bike, and he has indeed. But look at this. Hayden's keeping his cool, and he's already starting to just stretch that gap.
Well, the bad news for Matt Hauser is the frustration from the bike racking for Hayden Wilde could make him angry, which could make him even faster.
Absolutely. Look at the determination on Hayden Wilde's face. He means nothing but business right now. As Henry Schoeman makes his way over the Garth Proud Bridge, that's our top 3 men now well and truly onto this ASICS run course. But look at that. That gap is just ever so slowly starting to stretch.
Hayden looks a lot lighter on his feet than Matt Hauser at this point. Hauser appears to be labouring, trying to stick with the Kiwi.
Look, I have no doubt that ride would have taken a little bit more out of the likes of Hauser than it did Hayden Wilde. It'll be interesting to see if Schoeman is able to bridge across up towards Hauser. But right now, Hayden Wilde in the box seat. As we can see our women make their way back into town, right down here in Noosa. That is Fenella Langridge on the front.
It's a big group. It's then DeVette in 2nd spot, Willems in 3rd. Is this Jake Birtwistle?
That was indeed Jake Birtwistle making his way out of transition now and onto the run course.
And he's just behind last year's winner, the record holder. That is Charlie Quinn. Here's the leader, checking the digits on the Garmin. This is Hayden Wilde.
I could watch this young man run all day long. That is textbook perfect run form.
Is he triathlon's Pat Cash? He's running the headband.
Well, you mentioned it before earlier this morning. He's the cool kid of the sport.
He is indeed, and he is flying. Kurt McDonald also doing a brilliant job.
Yeah, he really is. We knew that he would be a bit of a smoky. He's in good form. He came into the race nice and relaxed. He loves this race. Jake Birtwistle also making his way over the Garth Proud Bridge. So these men, they're not out of it yet. There's still that final podium spot up for grabs. But right now, First and second place looking almost sewn up early on in the run, but Hayden Wilde, what a beautiful runner he is. Not taking anything away from Matty Hauser. Matty Hauser also fantastic, but you're right, look at, he's just labouring, he's just a little bit heavier on his feet, whereas Hayden Wilde, he looks like he's floating across the top of the road.
And he's a lighter athlete as well, which really helps for the run. It is an outstanding performance this by Hayden Wilde.
And look, that beautiful, nice and relaxed upper body.
The best athletes in the world, they make everything look easy.
Looks so easy.
No matter what the sport is. And this is third position on the road. This is Henry Schoeman. He's been a second place finisher here in the past. His brother lives in Brisbane. He loves coming to race in Australia. He also has an exceptional running technique. And he's not out of contention for challenging Matt Hauser for second spot.
We only need one of these boys up front to just go through a bit of a bad patch. I can't see it happening to Hayden Wilde. He just looks so in control. This is the last of the bridges, so this is the last of the tiniest of rises on this run. As I said, predominantly completely flat. They make their way all the way up Noosa Parade. They then take a left-hand turn onto Wyber Road. They have a 180-degree turn, just shy of 5 kilometres, because remember, on the way home, they have that dog leg to do. So the way home, slightly longer than it is on the way out.
And it's a headwind home.
Headwind home. But you can see that little bit of a rise up and over the bridge. That gap has lengthened, but it doesn't look like it's pushing out too quickly. It really, these men are absolutely flying.
You've spoken about the impact of the rise over the bridge. What about the descent off the other side?
You know, that's a chance for them to get their cadence back up again, because, you know, it slows down just a little bit. And with a 10K run, with running off the bike in general in triathlon, it's all about getting in a rhythm and holding it as long as possible. So being able to have that little bit of a downhill run gets you back on top of that cadence again, so that when you come down onto the flat, you can keep that rhythm going.
This is Hannah DeVette at the front with the 9-time winner, Ashley Gentle. She looks like she's keen to lead into T2. She wants to go into transition in first position. So she's got a clear look at everything, and there's nobody blocking her way.
Yeah, and you can see the women now, they're just about to make that last left-hand turn onto Noosa Parade, and then it's a straight shoot in all the way here to transition. It's going to be a fast and furious transition for our women, because I think we've got around 6 to 7 women all coming in off the bike close together. Yep, you can see that it looks like it's around 6 or 7. Ash Gentle on the front, as expected.
And from this field, she's the best renowned runner. So she's got herself in the box seat to make it win number 10.
Yeah, absolutely. I literally, even on an average day for Ash, she's still the fastest runner here. She really is such a class act.
We can see DeVette, the Belgian, in second spot. She's making the most of this last bit towards transition. She's taking on a gel.
It's really smart racing from Hannah, particularly because, you know, this is a distance. Obviously, she races short course, but she doesn't race a lot of draft illegal races. So this is still something very new for her. And, you know, she's got something to prove. One thing we haven't spoken about with Hannah, she was here last year in 2020, right before COVID hit, down in Mooloolaba racing. Unfortunately, a couple of days out from the race, she had a really nasty car accident. She got hit by a car, ended up in hospital. It was awful, was unable to race. So she's got some unfinished business racing on the Sunshine Coast, so I would love to see her have a great race here today.
One of the other challenges for Hannah DeVette is the temperature difference between Australia right now and Belgium at the moment, where it's a 5 degrees max as opposed to a 25-degree max, what it is today. It's a big turnaround, plus the jet lag. Massive
turnaround. And you know, we'll probably, if that's going to play a part, we will see it around that 6 to 7 kilometre mark. But look, temperature's still pretty nice out there right now, Matt. It's definitely gained a few degrees. That sun is starting to come out, so it will start to get a little toasty on the run for our professional athletes, but I think they'll all be home and hosed before it starts to really hit.
It's hardest for the age group athletes.
Absolutely, it is.
Some of them are starting at 10 o'clock. They're 2.5 hours away from getting started. They race in the heat of the day.
We always talk about, you know, the professional athletes. Obviously, our coverage is about the professional athletes. But we can't forget our thousands and thousands of age group athletes out there today. They do it tough because most of them, or a lot of them, are starting in the heat of the day and racing throughout. So they don't get any reprieve. They're starting in the heat from the swim and finishing in really hot conditions by the time they get across that finish line.
In the green colours, this is Lotte Wilms, the Dutch woman who's led for a long time throughout the race. She tried to apply the pressure on Garmin Hill. She hasn't been able to create a gap, but we've got 7 women all boxed up together within the women's race that are in contention to take the title.
You know, it really is a role reversal here. We've got more professional women racing today than we have men. And normally we're used to seeing big packs of men getting on the bike together and coming into transition. We don't usually see such a big group of women coming in off the bike together, but it shows how the sport is evolving and changing. We've really noticed a shift. We have so many incredible professional women racing right now. You go to any race around the world and the women's fields are so incredibly deep. Roll it back 5, 8 years, you didn't get that depth in women's racing, but right now, women's racing in triathlon, it is spectacular to watch. We see it. We saw it at the Ironman World Championships in Kona in October. We see it at every race now. Amazing depth of field.
The women are heading over Garth Proud Bridge. Pete Murray, they're about to head past you and into transition.
Yeah, thanks very much, Matt and BG. Yes, as you said, BG, it's great to see the depth in this female field. Everyone was talking Ash Gentle, but 6 other ladies are going to make her earn that 10th title here in Noosa. But Ash does this all the races. She comes in first. This is so important, making sure they get off before that mount line. Ash Gentle, got Lottie Wilms there. We've got them all coming on in. Sophie Malawecki has had a super race. And what about young Hill? A lot of talk before the race. Her mother, of course, Rena Hill, 2 times champion here in Noosa. But I tell you what, Maddie Keaton, we've got a great race unfolding on our female pros.
And unfortunately, Pete, we've had a report of a puncher for Natalie Van Koven, and that is bitter disappointment for her, Belinda Granger.
No, it really is. It must have been right at the latter stages of that ride. Absolutely heartbreaking for Natalie. She was having such a fantastic day. She was with these women that we now see in transition. Another face that I didn't see in transition right now is Fenella Langridge. So I'm not sure where Fenella is. We mentioned Sophie Malawaki. We mentioned Rochelle Hill. Brilliant races from these 2 young women as Ash Gentle now makes her way onto the run course. And there she is now.
This is where Ash Gentle.
Down to you, Pete.
I was just about to say, this is where Ash Gentle now stamps her authority on the race. Without a doubt, the best run in the world. BG talked about the beautiful style of Hayden Wilde. Well, I rate Ashley Gentle as one of the most beautiful running styles on the women's side. And she knows his course better than anyone out there. But you see there the bike, Ken, only separated our top 5 by 3 seconds. So it's pretty cool. Here comes Levi Horwath out of Melbourne, out of the transition. And any second now, Matt Keenan will see our top 5 females led out by 9 times Noosa champion Ashley Gentle.
And meanwhile, in the transition, this is Fenella Langridge pulling on the shoes, ready to get out there. She was riding a really low cadence on the bike, spent a lot of time at the front, but in the last 10Ks, Belinda Granger, she lost some distance heading into transition.
Yeah, I'm actually quite surprised about that. I think like Hayden Wilde, I think these women that we're seeing out front right now really started to up the pace. You can see Ash Gentle not doing anything crazy. She's going to give herself some time to settle in. She doesn't need to lead this race straight away. She's going to let the other women do that first, and she's going to work her way into the race.
Oh, she's heading out to a huge applause. It's Hannah de Vet, the Belgian athlete who is leading the charge. Big contrast in weather conditions from the Flemish part of the world to the Noosa part of the world at the moment. Only around about 25 degrees the difference. De Vet leads, Malavecki in second spot, Gentle in third, Hill and Willems, and they all boxed in together, less than a 10-second gap from first place to 5th place. A guy that is accustomed to winning races by minutes and sometimes tens of minutes is Craig Alexander, multiple winner at the Kona Ironman World Championships. Crowie, great to have you here in Noosa.
It's great to be here, mate. Thank you.
Well, you're renowned for your Ironman distance, but what does Noosa mean to the sport of triathlon?
Well, I think Noosa is one of those events that obviously it's a world famous event. It's one of the largest triathlons in the world in terms of participation, and I think the professionals love it here because, you know, Garth Proud, obviously he put this race on a long time ago and he helped a lot of young triathletes in Australia sort of, I guess this race was a platform to head overseas and do other things. So I think that's why you see so many of the top professionals all around the world come back to race.
Well, here's Ashley Gentle with Hill up towards the front. In fact, they've hit the lead. What does triathlon do for keeping you looking young, fit and healthy?
Well, I don't know. I don't feel young, fit, and healthy, mate. But there's a lot of young, fit, healthy people out on the course. It's great to see a lady that Belinda and I both know, Rena Hill, her daughter. I mean, we're feeling old because people we used to race against, their daughters are out here racing, and she's right up there on Ashley's shoulder. So it'll be interesting to see how this 10K unfolds. Of course, Ashley going for her 10th title here, but it's great to see Generation Next come up and knock on the door as well.
Well, the reason I asked you that question is to try and embarrass you with a compliment. Is my daughter met you for the first time yesterday, and I told her some of the things that you've achieved, and she said, well, why isn't he racing? I said, he's in his 50s. And she thought you must have been about 35.
Oh, well, that's a
So
nice...
you'll take that.
I'd take that.
I wear the hat a lot these days, Matt, to cover the grey hairs, but that's a great compliment. Thank your daughter for me.
Yeah, well, she said, oh, he's older than you, Dad. Only by the 2 years. Third place, Henry Schumann, bronze medalist at Olympic Games. The class in the depth of the field at this edition of Noosa is the best I've seen.
It's a really deep men's field. I love watching Henry. He's such a pretty runner, for want of a better expression, very efficient. But at the front of the race, we still see, I mean, Matt Hauser's still in it. The gap has opened up to about 80 metres, but I think Matt has a great finish on him. So it'll be interesting to see this next 3 or 4K. I think Hayden's MO is always just to try and grind the opposition down with a sort of a high pace. But we know Matt's got a great finish on him too, so this is far from over, this one.
He's got to stay in contact. He can't let that gap get out over 15 seconds, surely.
No, I think 15 seconds is probably a bit too far. I think if he can keep it around 10 seconds, especially with the run back into town, he will get the crowd support here. And it's a big deal to win this race, particularly as an Australian athlete. So Hayden looks so good too, though. I mean, he sat on the front of that bike. He bridged up the 39-second gap out of the swim. I think he bridged up to the leaders before they even hit the climb. So, I mean, he is one of the best, if not the best triathlete in the world at the moment on the men's side of racing. So we're privileged to get to watch him here today.
On the topic of running pretty, they don't get much better than that. His technique is impeccable.
Yeah, one thing I always like to look at is their leg turnover and their arm carriage. And yeah, he looks like he did the first 10 or 15 metres out of transition. So, but all the top guys, I mean, you can see with Henry as well. You know, they work a lot on their biomechanics and their efficiency because, I mean, this race, whilst it is one of the shorter distances, Olympic distance, it's not about speeding up as such until right at the end of the run. It's about holding pace and not slowing down. So these guys and girls do a lot of work on their biomechanics and their efficiency, and we're seeing it here right now.
One of the things that always impresses me about elite athletes, particularly in endurance sport, is the ability to be on the cusp of threshold and somehow still make it look comfortable.
Yeah, well, it's not comfortable as we see Ash opening up a little gap over Rochelle here. So, I mean, that's the key with a sort of an endurance event. You want to be right on threshold all day, and it's about efficiency and trying to relax. So I can assure you, though, whilst they do make it look easy, it's very hard.
It's hurting. It's definitely hurting them.
It's hurting them a lot. They're right on the rivet here, and Hayden will know. He'll want to break that elastic band that we talk about. He'll want to establish a race-winning lead before they even get back into the crowd, and I think that's what he's trying to do right now.
And remember, Crowe, it's not a straight shoot run back. So while they've come up, we know they've made the turn and he's heading back to home, they do have to contend with that small dog leg. And that's an opportunity for Hayden to get out of sight, out of mind, because it's quite a windy little section. They go through Dolphin Crescent, not that big in length, but enough time for him to get out of sight, out of mind, and that could be the area where he really does seal the deal for this race.
Yeah, for sure. I think Dolphin Crescent is the road that they go out and around, and he will try and get out of sight. And I mean, that's the way he races. He's trying to win the race early in the run, whereas I think Matt Hauser's tactics will be a little different. He'll be trying to maintain, try and hold that gap, and then bring it home.
We've got Ashley Gentle out in front on target for number 10. Rochelle Hill in second spot. You spoke before about the next generation coming through. Saw you recently in Kona going for a run with the son of one of your great rivals.
Yeah, I think it's one of the great things about the sport of triathlon. It's a sport that you do for life, a lot like cycling and a few other sports. I think endurance athletes, they're lifers once they get into the sport. So, yeah, it was a real treat for me. It was the highlight of my trip, actually, when Chris Lieto, who was a big rival of mine, his son messaged me on Instagram and asked to go for a run. And it makes you feel old and young at the same time, though. So it's great to see another. He's a 20-year-old young athlete. He has big goals and aspirations. So yeah, it was a real pleasure and a treat for me to go for a little jog along a Leahy Drive with Caden.
You must be enjoying this part of your career, because when you've achieved as much as you have, you stay engaged in the sport, and to go and share that, and the amount of age groupers that get inspired by the elite athletes, and you get the chance to wish them good luck.
For sure. I mean, it's always been one of the great things about the sport of triathlon is that the age groupers and pros race on the same course, the same day. They're all in transition together. There's not too many sports where you can you can be a beginner or a first time or even an experienced amateur, but be in the same race with the very best in the world. So it's one of the great things I love about the sport. And also, yeah, I mean, I love to stay involved. I love to come up and watch the current crop of superstars in our sport like Ash Gentle and Hayden Wilde, but also look at who's coming up through the ranks because you follow a lot of these athletes from when they're 16, 17 years of age as they come through the pathway programs, and it's great to see them, racing shoulder to shoulder with the true elite of the sport.
We've watched Ashley Gentle grow up at this race from the first time that she won it in the 30th edition in 2012 to now stepping away from the Olympic distance, but she comes back specifically for the Noosa Triathlon. She's heading towards your sort of distance, the Ironman distance. Where do you see the future for Ashley Gentle as we watch Hayden Wilde get a commanding lead of 15 seconds ahead of Matt Hauser, a minute and 38 seconds to Henry Schumann?
Yeah, well, Hayden's clearly the fastest on course here. I think he's opened up that little gap, and I think they've even increased the lead to Henry back in third spot. So Hayden's fastest on course. He's looking to close the deal. But Ash Gentle, to your question, I think I've always felt that she's amazingly well suited to the Olympic distance. And if you're a good Olympic distance athlete, I feel you're going to be a great middle distance athlete as well. Those two distances, for me, as we see Rochelle here, she looks great.
She's in second position in the women's race. Toby Coote, I think you're down with the leaders in the men's race.
Yeah, the boys, as Crow was just saying, they're about to head into that Dolphin Court area where they get away and they can't see where they're going. But both the boys out there in front, Hayden Wilde looks really, really smooth, as Crow was saying. Not wasting a lot of energy. And Matty just looks like he's just starting to, I think he's on that red line of just probably losing a little bit more time to Hayden at this stage.
Well, Hayden Wilde looking very good out in front. Crow, before we let you go, I saw you post also recently that you were trying to do 60 at 50. Ooh. Was that last year or earlier this year? You were trying to run a 60-second 400 metres at the age of 50. Did you get there?
I did get there thanks to the new carbon shoes, mate. It was hand timed and I timed myself, but I got myself as 59.7, but I'll take it. Yeah, I was just looking for something to do. I take my youngest daughter to the track and we're there for 15 minutes a week, so I thought I was just looking for a little goal to give myself, but I'm going to give all the credit to the new super shoes and the carbon plate.
He's too modest.
He is very modest. Hayden Wilde leading, Ashley Gentle on target for number 10. Before we let you go, what are you looking forward to in 2024?
I'm looking forward to another Olympic year. I know we're all avid sports fans here, so we've got our particular sports that we follow, but I always think an Olympic year, it's very exciting because you get to see a lot of sports that typically we don't see a lot of for the other 3 years, but they get the spotlight shone on them. So, of course, I'm always excited to watch the triathletes race at the Olympic Games. But just, I think an Olympic year is always exciting because, I love the kayaking and the paddling. I love the track cycling and track and field and swimming. So that's what I'm most excited about for next year.
We're all addicted to sport. We become experts throughout the Olympics. It's amazing how in the diving, how did they overroll that? And I think that they're going to be penalised for that. And they needed to stick the landing in the gymnastics. We've become experts in
all sports.
Thanks for joining us, Crowie.
Thanks for having me, guys.
One of the absolute greats of the sport, Belinda Granger, Craig
Honestly,
Alexander.
Has always been and will always be one of my absolute favourites in the sport. He's a true champion, not just on the field, but off the field. He's probably the most liked triathlete in the world.
Except for those who had to race against him.
That's right, except for his competition. I'm not sure how much they like him. But look, we see Hayden Wilde. Look at that run form. Toby said he looks so comfortable. He's not breathing heavily. He's in complete control right now as he makes his way through that dog leg I was talking about. He's in the box seat, 15 seconds. I can't see that being taken from here.
That was the magical marker that Craig spoke about, that Matt Hauser needed to keep it within 10 seconds to stand a chance to close it down.
Absolutely.
It looks like the Kiwi Hayden Wilde has broken the elastics on target to become the 6th. He was outstanding on the bike. He broke their spear on the bike. I thought he was going to have to wait until he got onto the run, and then he had to do it again on the run because of the issue that he had with racking his bike. Toby Coote, you're back with the leading women.
Yeah, with the girls, they're coming up to around that 4.5 kilometre mark up towards the turnaround point. Ashley Gentle looks really controlled. She's just starting to open up that bit of a gap on Rochelle Hill at this stage. I can look back and see probably about Soph Malawecki just closing that gap on Rochelle. But Rochelle's looking at a watch. She knows what she's sitting on and what she needs to do. And she's having a blinder for her first ever elite race here at Noosa.
She's the youngest in the race. She can take a lot from this. She could be very much a future winner of this event, Toby.
Are we looking at the next Ash Gentle? That's what we could be unfolding right here, you know, in 4 or 5 years' time. Who knows what's going to happen with this girl, but we know the calibre of what she is and what she can do as a junior athlete. Now she just needs to do it as an elite athlete.
Well, Ashley Gentle, she's not getting any slower with age either, Belinda Granger. Last year was her quickest time ever with a time of 1 hour 57.26, but the course record still stands from 1997 with Emma Carney, 1 hour 54 minutes and 22 seconds.
It's going to be very interesting to see how close Ash gets to that record today, or if she is indeed able to beat it. But talking about Rochelle Hill, honestly, if I had to say right now who is having the most impressive race of their day, it is definitely Rochelle Hill. 21 years of age. We know she's from good stock. Her mother was one of the greatest athletes that Australia has ever produced. But what I love about Rochelle, she's taking the bull by the horns here. This is her first elite race against this sort of caliber field. And most would just play it, you know, it's easy, not take it out too hard. But she's not racing like that. She's all in, giving it 100%. And she's finding herself in second place. And I'm so impressed with the maturity that she's showing at such a young age.
And this is Hayden Wilde, who's out in front in the men's race. He's made the turn. He's done the dog leg to get the extra kilometre to round out the 10Ks in the run. He's now on the charge for home. And this is Hill. She's 11 seconds off Ashley Gentle. Malavecchi is 20 seconds behind her. It's then De Vet in 4th spot. Wilms is in 5th position. And not inside the top 10, Natalie Van Koven, who was with the leaders on the bike, but she's had a mechanical problem, unfortunately, for Natalie.
Look, it's the one thing that you don't want to have happen to athletes, regardless. You don't even want it to happen in competition, to have to pull out because of mechanical. It's just, unfortunately, it's part and parcel of racing, but you never want to see it happen. You can see right now, Ash is about to make that turn at around the 4.5 kilometre mark. Once she makes that turn, she'll be able to see exactly where her competition is.
One bridge done for Hayden, one bridge to come. It's the Garth Proud Bridge, and then he's towards the blue carpet to win this race for the first time in his career.
Look, incredible race. He really did. He made up that deficit on the swim so quickly.
Matt Hauser is closing. We can see the gap inside the last kilometre and a half. Matt Hauser was out to 17 seconds, 2.5 Ks from home. Hauser is still in with an outside chance. Now it would be against the odds, but he is sprinting for victory.
Now, this is exactly what Crowe spoke about. If he gets a sniff, if he is able to see the back of Hayden Wilde anywhere near that finish line, he was always going to give it his all. We know that he is an incredible finisher.
And for the first time, we're seeing a grimace on the face of the Kiwi, Hayden Wilde. It is Hauser who is hunting Hayden Wilde. They've been neck and neck throughout the majority of the race. And for the first time, it's a look over the shoulder. There's real concern from Hayden Wilde.
Now, the only problem about that is that he did that look over the shoulder right on a bend, and he couldn't actually see Hauser. So he might be lured into a false sense of security here, because you can see Hauser there in the background right now. But, I think Hayden's got it, but wow, bit of a scare there for a little while.
It looks like it may well be a little too much for Matt Hauser, but you can see the yellow shoes. It's the fastest they've moved all day.
But you know, when you get racing at this level, this is what you expect. It shouldn't have been an easy day for Hayden Wilde. We wanted him pushed all the way to this finish line, and that's exactly what Matty Hauser's going to do.
And he's still checking the numbers. He takes a look at the Garmin. He's making sure that he's on track. We talk about in running and in cycling with time trials, negative splitting, going out with a little bit more to spend in the final kilometre or so.
Exactly. And look,
another look across the shoulder, Belinda Granger.
Oh, I love it. But you know what? That was a perfect time to look. He gets an exact measure on just how far back Matty Hauser is. He knows he's got one last little bridge to go up and over, and then it's almost a downhill run here into the finish line.
He is being pushed all the way through to the finish. We're starting to see the pearly whites, and that's not a smile, it's a grimace.
It's a grimace. He knows if he wants to win this here today, he's going to have to work the entire 10 kilometres.
And he is going to be close to the course record. The course record is 1 hour 43:12. That was set last year by Charlie Quinn. He's been out there for 1 hour and 40. He's within striking distance of the finish line. He's getting close to the Garth Proud Bridge.
Well, you know, it was funny. For the Legends try yesterday afternoon, we thought that Tim Van Berkel had it in the bag. Very similar situation to what we're seeing now. And we saw Luke Willian come right over the top of him in the final metres. Are we going to see something similar here today? I don't think so. I think Hayden Wilde has got Hauser's measure, but he has had to work this final 2 kilometres.
For the third time, he's looked across the shoulder. Matt Hauser just had his eyes out in front for Hayden Wilde. This shot gives us greater perspective. It's still a gap of perhaps 10 seconds. It's a lot of ground to make up for Matt Hauser.
Well, particularly when you think about the pace that these 2 young men are running right now, very, very difficult. But you can see, hats off to Matty Hauser. He has given it absolutely everything out there today.
And he's starting to look as if he's hit the sand trap too.
I think he gave it a good nudge and he's realised, you know what, it's second for me.
Let's get down to Pete Murray. Hayden Wilde is onto the Garth Proud Bridge.
Hayden Wilde. All right, folks, so here we go. Get ready, Noosa. We believe he is going to break the course record. It's at 1:41 at the moment. But this young man, as we said before, is the real deal. The New Zealand have been a lot of history in racing. We can hear the crowd. He will break the course record. Give it up for Hayden Wilde, folks, from New Zealand, the superstar. Had first time racing in Noosa and will be the 2023 Garmin Noosa Triathlon from New Zealand, Hayden Wilde. Yes, sir. What a performance. And here comes our best Aussie, second place today. What a performance from Matty Hauser. Welcome home to Noosa, Matty. Second place, Aussie v Kiwi, the Anzac battle at its best, Matty Keenan.
That was extraordinary. 1 hour, 41 minutes and 56
well, what a race
seconds.
It was, folks, in the men elites. Course record, not just broken, it was smashed by Hayden Wilde, but Matty Hauser didn't give up. Separated by about 6 to 7 seconds at the end. Very shortly, we'll try to get a word with our champion in Hayden Wilde. And what a performance it has been. The Aussie and the Kiwi put it all on the line here for the 40-year anniversary of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon.
He has broken the course record by 1 minute and 16 seconds. Pete, over to you. Henry Schumann is on his way. Well, he's not quite there yet, Belinda Granger, because Henry Schumann, he's cracked in the last couple of kilometres. He's about to hit the Garth Proud Bridge.
All right, we've got age groupers coming on in. Big screen, you can see Henry Schumann. He is from South Africa. Been around the sport for a while. He's a Commonwealth Games medalist, Olympic representative for his home country. He went through about 12 months of a very hard time with injury. And it's great to see him back on the racetrack. He comes over the iconic Garth Proud Bridge. And it's so good to see Henry Schumann from South Africa back where he belongs on the top end and the podium of the major races, including the Noosa Tri. We can see the drone shots there. What a beautiful location. He comes on to the final stretch of the 10-kilometre ASICS run. Come on, Noosa, let's bring her home, the South African. Henry Schumann from South Africa will wrap up our podium for the 2023 Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Great race today, Henry. Welcome home. So meanwhile, we've got age groupers starting their 40K cycle. We've got athletes coming off the 40K cycle and onto the 10K run. We've only got about 7,500 athletes to bring home.
Well, we've seen the winner of the men's event, Hayden Wilde, with a new course record. Ashley Gentle, she's setting yet another record. She leads now by 42 seconds. She has broken the young Rochelle Hill. She is going to round it out with a perfect 10 in edition number 40 at the Garmin Noosa Triathlon.
And hasn't she done it with absolute style? We would expect nothing less from this young woman. She really is such a class act. I think she was getting a little I don't know if irritated's the word, but I think she's had so many people saying, what's it going to be like to get number 10? You're going for number 10. It was all about getting number 10. And she's like, I just want to go out there and enjoy myself. As you can see, Gentle leading the way. Rochelle Hill in second. Sophie Malawecki in third. Hannah de Vet now making her way up into fourth place. And Alotte Velms in fifth place. So that's our top 5 women out on course right now.
It's a really tough battle for second position.
It really is.
Malawecki is closing in on Hill. The gap now is down to 10 seconds. It's a big race for second, and there's a lot to be said about finishing second at Noosa behind Ashley Gentle. You're kind of the winner of the humans race.
You can sort of take that as a win, can't you?
It is on target for a win. As Ashley Gentle is making her way through, it's a reminder that Hayden Wilde has won the race in a new course record. Matt Hauser finished second. And Matt Hauser in second position was 1 minute and 4 seconds faster than the old course record.
So both under record. Wow.
Extraordinary. Henry Schumann in third position on the podium yet again in this race. This is Hill holding on to second spot. Or is she?
No, I think that's Sophie Malawecki that's in front that we can see right now. So Sophie has indeed taken second place over Rochelle Hill. So Rochelle Hill now in third spot. So we really have a fantastic race on our hands here for the minor placings in our women's race.
Well, Hill can take a lot from this. It's a big learning experience. It's her first participation in the elite event. And you look at the race number for both Hill and Malawecki, they've slipped under the radar. Hill, race number 15, Malawecki, number 17. They've upset the pre-race favourites in the battle for the podium.
That's what I love about this sport. We can do all our research, we can crunch the numbers, we can do the statistics, but honestly, it all comes down to race day and what you are able to do. And these 2 young women now, Sophie Malawecki and also Rochelle Hill, having outstanding races.
No change in the rhythm for Ashley Gentle. No change in the rhythm for Ashley Gentle since 2012.
If anything, she's just gotten faster. But you know, I've seen her mature, not just physically, but also mentally and emotionally. And I think that's what makes you a world champion or a world's best. It's that emotional and mental maturity that really makes a difference in your racing. And that's what I've seen over the last 2 to 3 years. You know, her final, her Olympics in Tokyo, it was a tough push for Ash. You know, the athletes had to come home. They had to do 2 weeks in quarantine. It wasn't the Olympic dream that Ash had dreamed of. And now being able to come back and resurrect your career and do what she has done in the last 2 years in long distance triathlon, to being one of the premier, if not the best. I think she's held the #1 ranking for the last year and a half. It's only just been overtaken by Anne Haug, but she's held it for so long now. Truly remarkable.
And we're seeing her experience and her professionalism. She's less than 10 minutes from the finish line and she's having a gel.
I know. Because you know what? She knows that it is not over till you cross that finish line and anything can happen. I've seen athletes cramp in the final kilometre and lose a race, actually lose the podium in those final kilometres because they haven't taken care of themselves.
Famously, at Kona, Chris Lee
yep.
didn't finish. It was
Right
100
down.
metres from the finish line.
Horrific. I mean, I get goosebumps still thinking about that finish. It was unbelievable. You know, he ended up losing half his intestine as a result.
An amazing athlete. His mind was too strong for his body.
Absolutely.
Extraordinary athlete. Now on board with Sophie Malawecki. She has been brilliant. She appears to have ridden a race independent to everybody else. She didn't get involved too much in the action we saw on the bike. She's quietly gone about her business on the run, and she's moved into second position.
Yeah, really impressive racing from Sophie.
Is that a call for the hose or a no for the hose?
That was a call for the hose on the face, I think, because she'd just taken it a gel. She's like, you know what? Give me a little bit of a clean up here.
That's one of the great things about the event, isn't it? The way the locals get behind it. We spoke about it earlier on. When this event started in 1983, the original proposal from Dave Power and Joe Gilbert to do fundraising for the Los Angeles Olympics in '84 was to do a marathon. But they couldn't piece together 42 kilometres of road in Noosa.
Didn't exist.
And the event and the town have grown together.
No, they really have. I've got so many friends and family up here. A lot of them not triathletes at all, but I've got friends that live on this Dolphin Crescent and they celebrate this day. They get out with their hoses, they get out, they cheer, they're there all morning long. They'll stay well after the professional athletes have made their way through. They'll be there till the very last competitor.
Malawecki also consuming a gel. She's inside the last 10 minutes and she is on target for a first podium finish for her at Noosa.
Honestly, this is a standout race for Sophie. She looks wonderful right now too, really relaxed in the upper body.
She's at 1 minute and 10 seconds behind Ashley Gentle. The last time check we saw, she was 10 seconds behind Hill. She's now 10 seconds in front. That's a big turnaround.
And incredible to think that of the podiums, we all picked Gentle. That was a no-brainer, but I don't think either of us had a Malawecki or Hill on our radar to get those final spots on the podium.
No, I did not have them in the top 3.
Nope.
My apologies to both of them.
We did do well in the men's, though.
Yeah, we got the 3, and you got the order right. I had it the wrong way around, but we did get the top 3, and Hayden was always the big favourite. Ashley Gentle was the unbackable favourite in the women's race. She's the master of this event.
You know, I know that Ash Gentle is up here. I think there's like 2 or 3 generations of Gentles and Ambergers up here. So Joshy, of course, out there cheering his wife on. He's up here with his family as well. It is a real family affair, this Noosa Triathlon. I know that there's generation after generation of Gentles and Ambergers out on course right now screaming for Ash Gentle to make her way towards the finish line.
Sometimes when an athlete dominates a sport, you barrack for the underdog to cause the upset, but somehow that doesn't appear to be the case with Ashley Gentle.
Yeah, look, I have to agree.
Yeah, even though she's won it 9 times, it is fitting that she wins number 10 in addition number 40.
She's just such a likeable athlete. As I said, she's matured so beautifully over the years, and to see her doing so incredibly well over the middle distance now, and to come back here and just to finish a season on such a high, she can go into off-season now knowing that she's well and truly earned a break.
This is Sophie Malawecki. She's closing in on some of the elite men. She's caught quite a few of the elite men who started 2 minutes in front of her in the swim.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. She'll make her way right out. You can see one more right-hand turn and she'll be back out on Noosa Parade. And then she's only got a few kilometres left to run, probably about 2.5K left to run from here.
Do you like her technique in the run?
I do.
Looks floaty.
Nice, really, really relaxed.
She's not getting bogged down. It's not looking as if she's running in sand and getting heavy on the ground. She's ignored Ashley Gentle. She's ignored Rochelle Hill. She's ignored everybody around her, and she's just raced for her best performance.
Exactly, and that's exactly why you're seeing her in such a high position. She's kept all of the noise out, and she's just running her own race right now. She knows that there's no chance in the world of catching the likes of Ash Gentle, but she wants to hold on to that second place, and so she's running her own race and playing it safe.
I wonder what this can do to her ambitions to qualify for Paris.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. I don't know too much about Sophie Malawecki. Obviously, I come from a long-distance background, but it'll be really interesting, as I said, to finish on the podium in Noosa. It's something that you keep with you for the rest of your life. I know when I won it way back in 1998, it was a big deal, and it really did catapult me and my career from there. So it means a lot to finish on the podium here at this race.
It has always been a landmark event in triathlon in Australia and globally. I'd love that. You see the guy in orange, one of the age groupers, yelling encouragement and maybe congratulations, because she doesn't need any encouragement at this point to Ashley Gentle.
No, and that's what we love about this sport. All of the age groupers, they've got their own races to contend with, but they still use the energy to cheer on our professional athletes, particularly this young woman, because she is such a special part of this race.
Looks like she's already getting organised for the sprint down the blue carpet to win this event.
You know, we talk about how, yeah, she was going to win this really easily. It's very easy for us to become complacent and say, oh, Ash has got it in the bag. But for Ash Gentle, you know, I could just imagine the tremendous pressure that she would have come into this race, because we all just absolutely expected her to win. And so it's a lot of pressure for someone to come into the race and make sure that she can actually do what we all expect her to do.
Thinking to the future of Sophie Malawecki, what I am looking forward to seeing is her run split.
Yeah, really impressive run split.
And seeing her first 5Ks compared to her second 5Ks.
Because I think if anything, she's negative split. She really does she looks better now than she looked at in the first kilometres of the run. See, still taking in the hydration.
It's getting hot.
It is.
And that was a little bit of wet the whistle to stop the dryness in the mouth. She didn't drink too much, but the splash across the face to try and stop the engine from overheating.
Yeah, and you know, it's all about preservation. particularly for our age group athletes that are out there for a lot longer. We think about our professional athletes. Our men were out there only just a smidge over 1 hour 40. We've got Ash Gentle with 1:53 on the clock right now.
She's putting her number to the front to make sure that we know who she is.
Well, you know, this is the professionalism that Ash shows. I can guarantee you the number will be at the front. Before she gets to the finish, she will zip up that triathlon up her top so that we can see all of her sponsors. And that's just years and years and years of being a professional triathlete.
The blue colours heading the opposite direction, smiling for Smitty, the key partner of a charity organisation with this group. They've raised multiple millions of dollars for the Marta Foundation for research into the prevention and the cure of melanoma, skin cancer.
If you look out there now, all I can see is smiling for Smitty suits. They are absolutely everywhere. Wonderful to see. And just the atmosphere down on ground, it's spectacular. You've got friends and family out on ground cheering on. As you can see, Ash now make her way up and over the Garth Proud Bridge.
And it won't be a course record, but it will be potentially the fastest time that Ashley Gentle has ever recorded at Noosa. Pete Murray, she's on her way for win number 10.
Come on, folks, let's get the clap going. Come on, sing it out. This is Ashley Gentle. She is on the Garth Proud Bridge. We have got history in the making right here, folks, in Noosa. 40 years of racing, and this young lady, she's a superstar. She's the queen of Noosa. For the 10th time, Ashley Gentle will come down Noosa Parade. Noosa, let's make some noise. 10 times champion, the queen of Noosa, the Garmin Noosa Triathlon champion 2023, the amazing Ashley Gentle. Wow, wow, wow. Noosa, 3 cheers for Ashley Gentle. Hip hip. Hip hip. Hip hip. Ashley, you are the champion. Her husband, Joshy Amberger, so proud. We're in Malaysia a couple of weeks ago. Josh won the male Asia Pacific Championship on the same day his wife Ash won the Asia Pac Champs, but today it's all about Ashley Gentle.
Outstanding performance by Ashley Gentle, not the course record, but more than 2 minutes faster than she's ever gone on this course. 1 hour 55:13. She's getting better with age. Sophie Malawecki and Rochelle Hill racing for spots on the podium.
And it looks like Sophie Malawecki now making her way down towards this finish line. Incredible race from Sophie. You can see her there on screen right now. Wonderful race. This is certainly one of the best races of her career thus far.
And continuing to catch the back end of the elite men's race, who started 2 minutes in front of her. This is Sophie Malawecki across the line in second. Waiting for her is the 10-time winner, Ashley Gentle. Best performance I've seen from Sophie Malawecki.
Oh, absolutely. Definitely a career best. I can see big things for this young woman moving forward. And look, she looks like she's done it pretty easily there. She's just under control. Love the congrats at the finish line.
I think she was less than 2 minutes behind Ashley Gentle. Here comes Rochelle Hill in for third. Her first appearance here, following in the footsteps of Mum. She's on the podium.
For me, this is the standout race of the day. 21 years of age, amazing race. She's given it absolutely everything for that last spot on the podium. Really, really strong race from Rochelle here today.
The time for Sophie Malawecki was quicker than the winning time last year of Ashley Gentle.
It just shows you, I mean, every year our sport continues to evolve. It continues to get faster, deeper in fields. We've seen that here today. That's why we're seeing records tumble. But what is most impressive, Emma Carney still holding that women's record. It shows you Emma Carney was light years ahead of her time.
Her record is still some 51 seconds faster. Today's time was the second fastest in the history of this race, 51 seconds slower than we saw from Emma Carney in 1997.
Absolutely incredible.
Hannah de Vet, the Belgian, on her way to the finish line, just off the podium. She's in 4th.
When you think about it, she only arrived here from Europe on Tuesday. There's no way that she wouldn't be feeling the effects of jet lag, also that massive time change. So really impressive race here from Hannah to finish in 4th place. Nice job between those two, 1st and a 4th for Hannah and her partner Hayden Wilde.
The time change and the temperature change.
Absolutely. The double whammy right there.
This is Hannah on her way in. She was really strong on the bike, which is not surprising given she comes from the Flanders region of Belgium, which is the heart and soul of international cycling. Great performance by Hannah. Her first time at Noosa, just missing out on the podium, but a lot to like about the way she's competed today.
I'm sure Hannah will be very, very happy with that. They're both staying here in Australia now. They're going down to race the 70.3 in Melbourne next weekend. I know Hayden desperately wants to get his slot for the World Championships next year in Taupo.
Smiling for Smitties on their way out. And this is Charlotte McShane in the colours of the Australian national team. We have not seen her all day long, and she's going to be slotting into 5th spot.
You can see that she's just overtaken Lottie Wilms there right before the Garth Proud Bridge. We know that Charlotte McShane is all class when it comes to the run, but incredible race from her to crawl her way back up into that top 5.
She was miles off the pace in the swim.
Miles off.
Didn't see her on the bike. She has stormed home in the run.
And that's why you know the race is not over till you cross that finish line. Anything can happen in those final kilometres. But hats off to Charlotte McShane. She really has had a great race. Oh, we've got a bit of a sprint finish here. Towards way to finish it off right there.
And it's in the minor placings for the men's, but Charlotte McShane, I'd like to see her run splits.
It'll be very, very speedy.
Here she is, and she is cooked at the finish line. It's kind of part of the off-season for Charlotte McShane as she prepares to try and qualify for the Olympics in Paris.
Yeah, look, it's been a very, very long year for all of our athletes out there as Lottie Wilms also comes across the finish line.
6th position for Lotte. The Dutch woman has been really impressive. I like the way she tried to take it to the favoured runners on the bike.
She knew that that was the only chance that she had. She knows she doesn't have the running speed that these shorter distance athletes have. But brilliant racing as we've got Jazz Hedgeland. Really great race from Jazz. Of course, her sister right behind her there is Kira. So you've got older sister Jazz, younger sister Kira, now also coming across the finish line. Great to see these two sisters racing here today.
That's like front seat going home, isn't it? The battle between the siblings. Who gets the prime position? That was the first of the age groupers coming through.
It was one of our open age group categories. As you can see, Milan Agnew also making her way now towards the finish line.
And for a lot of the athletes, they haven't even started yet. Some of them, they've still got close to 2 hours before they head out into the water, and the sun is starting to shine through. And coming through the finish line now, this is Langridge.
Fenella Langridge, that's right. So Fenella probably still feeling the effects of the Ironman World Championships less than a month ago, but solid race from Fenella. Along with Lottie Wilms, those two women really pushed the pace early on the bike ride.
Even though if you looked at the results sheet, it would appear to be a dominant victory by Ashley Gentle, and time-wise it was, but it was a great battle. This is one of the best battles we've seen for a long time at Noosa.
Absolutely. Milan Agnew across the finish line as well. Definitely the deepest women's field we've seen in years.
In both the men's and the women's.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, both men's and women's. Incredible.
First and second in the men's race, breaking the old record that was set last year by Charlie Quinn. And look at the amount of bikes that are still in transition.
That's really only half the transition that's empty right now. The other half's still full.
I wouldn't mind doing an inventory on the amount of money that's in that transition area. It's in the multiple millions of dollars.
It would be scary.
13,000 participants in this triathlon. Average bike, probably about $7,500.
Give or take a bit, but yeah, unbelievable.
And look at the conditions out in the water on Noosa Beach. This is one of the big attractions of this event, is the fact that you can bring the family, you have a holiday before or after the triathlon. It is a beautiful spot.
Yeah, look, I'm lucky enough to call it home. I still am blown away by the beauty of it all. I go out for runs out along that national park that you can see off there to the right, and I still shake my head some days at its beauty.
It's a long day for the spectators too. They're out there supporting family members, friends, training partners. On part of the Garth Proud ride, there was a couple of women that I rode with that were from Mackay and Rockhampton, and one of them, she was late getting the entry, and it's tough to get the entry in for this event, but she's made the trip down anyway to do some of the other events around it and to support her friend.
But that's the beauty of this. This is what I love most. You've just encapsulated in one. I love the fact that it's not just about the triathlon. Yes, it's the main event, and of course that's why we're here today, but all the other little sub-events around it, it means that there's something for everyone.
She did also say that one of the appeals was the fact that it was a long weekend away from the husband and the family.
Nice little break. A nice little girls' getaway. I love it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. What a healthy girls' getaway. To be doing this, and I'm sure they'll have a nice dinner tonight to celebrate what they've achieved over the last 12 months.
Couple of wines as they so deserve.
I've got the crew from Smiling for Smitty. They're the athletes in the blue colours. To the left is their support crew. There's 350 of them. They needed to have raised a minimum of $1,000 for the Marta Foundation to get the privilege of wearing those blue colours.
Unbelievable.
We're ready to go for the presentation of the men's race. Let's head back down to Pete Murray.
Well, thanks, Matt. We are down at the finish line. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the presentation for the 2023 Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Presenting flowers today will be Mayor Claire Stewart, and to present the flowers will be Councillor Amelia Lauderson. In third place today, with an overall time of 1 hour, 44 minutes and 21 seconds, representing South Africa, Henry Schoeman. In second place at the Garmin Noosa Triathlon for 2023 with an overall time of 1 hour, 42 minutes and 9 seconds, representing Queensland, Australia, Maddie Hauser. And the winner of the 2023 Garmin Noosa Triathlon with an overall time of 1 hour, 41 minutes and 57 seconds from New Zealand, Hayden Wilde. So once again, ladies and gentlemen, our top three, our champion, Hayden Wilde, Maddie Hauser in second, Henry Schoeman in third, and now the champagne celebration. We're going to be back real soon with the female elite presentation. Back to you, Maddie Keenan.
Thanks, Pete. What an impressive podium it is. Two of them have won medals at the Olympic Games. Matt Hauser, the Aussie, in second position. Second place in 1 minute and 4 seconds faster than the old course record. This has been a fitting race for the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon, Belinda Granger.
Honestly, Maddie, you can't wipe the smile off my face. It's just, unless you've experienced this race, it's truly hard to describe. There's not enough superlatives to describe what an event this is.
Having said that, I've never seen you without a smile on your face. A lot more still to come here from the Garmin Noosa Triathlon.
Run when the rhythm's right, go into the night, floating as the river flows, easy as it goes to the ocean. So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do, I do, I do. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. I don't ever wanna be a crown, just another prize. It breaks my heart. Lost in the midnight blue, feeling something so new.
Visit noosa.com.au. You cannot get a better advertisement than this. To be the head of Noosa Tourism is one of the easiest jobs in the world. We spoke to Peter Hunt earlier on from Events and Tourism Queensland. They've nailed it here at Noosa.
They really have. And for me personally, to see it evolve, I've been here for just over 20 years now. Amazing. It just continues to get better and better.
Pete, you can just about put the cassette in from the last 10 years as we're heading down for the presentation for the women's race.
Yeah, so true, Matty Keenan, so true. But we are here for the presentation of the 2023 Garmin Noosa Triathlon Elite Female.
No, everyone's like, this thing.
Presenting medals today will be Mayor Claire Stewart, and to present the flowers will be Councillor Karen Funzel. In third place at the 2023 Noosa Triathlon with an overall time of 1 hour, 57 minutes and 15 seconds, Rochelle Hill. In second place at the 2023 Garmin Noosa Triathlon, an overall time of 1 hour, 56 minutes and 50 seconds, Sophie Malawecki. And in first place at the Garmin Noosa Triathlon for 2023 with an overall time of 1 hour, 55 minutes and 14 seconds for a 10th time, the Queen of Noosa, Ashley Jensel. Once again, our top three folks, Ashley Jensel, Sophie Malawecki and Rochelle Hill. What a race. What a piece of history it is, Matty Keenan. We're going to send it back up to you and BG to wrap up. After, we have the champagne celebration. I love it down here, Matty Keenan. Ashley Jensel has given the two younger girls tips on how to open the champagne. And I tell you what, it's a good champagne celebration. But Matt and BG, back to you to wrap it all up. And we'll be back with live commentary ASAP.
Run when the rhythm's right, go into the night. Floating as the river flows, easy as it goes to the ocean. So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do, I do, I do. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. I don't ever wanna be a crown, just another prize. It breaks something so new.
Stability never felt better. Running long or longer, you can run through it. Steep hills, you go steeper. Adaptive stability and premium comfort. The Gel Kayano 30 shoe. Nothing feels better.
We're now joined by triathlon royalty, Belinda Granger. We've got the 10-time winner, Ashley Gentle, Hayden Wilde, who put in a wild performance. I know it's a cliche, but I couldn't help it, Hayden. I'm going to start with you, Ashley. I've seen all 10 of your victories. That was the most emotional at the finish line. Take us through it.
Yeah, I guess it was a lot of relief, to be honest. There was a big build-up for this race, and of course, when you are going for your 10th win, there's going to be that expectation as well. And I do think that I took it in my stride and handled the nerves quite well, but still, once you finally cross that line and achieve what you wanted to achieve, there's definitely emotion.
You've stepped away from the Olympic distance, but have you seen the time that you did today? You were almost 2 minutes quicker than you've ever gone before on this course.
Yeah, it was a really fast day because that was one of the first times I've actually been riding with a group. There was a lot of us that came out of the water together, and that kind of rarely happens in the women's race. So we were able to, ride together, push the pace on the bike, maybe a bit more than usual, and be in that group dynamic, and then, just let it rip on the run.
And on the topic, Belinda, of going fast, Hayden, you've set a new course record, 1 minute and 16 seconds quicker than anybody else has gone on this course.
Yeah, no, absolutely stoked. I got lost in transition at one point, so I know if I come
We were
back,
happy about that.
I know. I'll have to come back next year, and I know I've got 30 seconds up my sleeve, and I think I did like an absolute acrobatic jump over the fence, and then I look back and I'm like, oh, great, there's Matt.
So we were just talking throughout the ad break about your performance up Garmin Hill, and I'm a cycling nerd, and I love the data. Tell us your average speed and watts up that climb.
I don't know the watts what it was, but so I don't know the average speed, but the watts. So I was trying to. I asked my coach, it's like, can I push 400 up there? And he was like, no, keep it composed. So I kept it at 380. But over the whole course, I was trying to push pretty hard and drop the boys, and averaged about 355. And it's a bit scary when you're on the TT bike because you're a bit excited and because you're going fast and you kind of forget what's going on. And I looked at the Garmin, and I was actually kind of like working off Cam Worth's time the couple of years ago, and I was about 3 minutes in front of it. I was like, whoops, I think I've gone a bit too hard here on the first sector.
So Belinda, he's gone an average speed on the bike of around about 48 k's per hour. Hayden, did you know that the speed limit here is 40?
Yeah, I saw a couple of speed limits. I was waiting for the coppers to come and pull me over, but I had to drop Matty and the boys. I wanted a bit of a buffer coming onto the run because I'm racing next week in Melbourne, so I didn't want to go as deep as I did in the run today, but I had to do what I had to do, and I was still running scared with 200 metres to go because I raced Matt over the whole course of the season. I know how dangerous he is in the last 2K, and he was not giving up, and I look back and I had a little bit of leeway in the last 500, so I could kind of cool off the jets, but man, I was running scared.
Run like you stole something.
What I was most impressed with your race today was the bike. Obviously, one little piece of information he failed to tell us. Short course athletes, we know that you don't do a lot of training on the time trial frame, but you've actually done some sneaky training in the aero.
Yeah, I've the last before I actually went to the last grand final of the Super League, I went to Dusseldorf, the famous indoor track, and went there for 2 days and did a lot of aero testing, and we found a lot of gains there, especially just for Melbourne. So I'm really thankful I went there a couple of days ago, for 2 days a few weeks ago, just to dial in the TT bike. And I'm super lucky living in Andorra. I get to ride with guys like Josh Tarling, who's European champ and the world, top 3 in the world championships, and Cameron Worth. And we do a Tri-Nations loop, and man, you just hold on to the boys and hope to God you don't fall off.
Training doesn't sound fun at all. That sounds harder than racing. In the women's race today, Ashley, on the bike there was 7 together. It was a really hectic bike leg in the women's race.
Yeah, I was trying to not look behind too much, but I definitely noticed a lot of girls, and a lot of them do come from a short course background, so I was kind of like, yep, girls, let's keep the 12 metres here. And
I agree.
Hang on, I want to ask Hayden about 12 metres in a minute. Keep going on you with the 12 metres.
Yeah, so that was interesting, and thankfully there was the Garmin Hill in there to break things up a little bit. But for me, I knew I had the joker card, I guess, in the run, and I also still have to make sure that I keep things composed on the bike. I wanted it to split up a bit to get rid of some of those girls who were kind of hanging on the back a bit, but I also wanted to make sure that I kept it composed, because I still wanted to make sure I could run a really steady 10K, and some of those girls are really talented runners, so I wasn't discounting them for a second.
You were laughing and smiling at the 12-metre rule. We did see some footage of you give a little bit of advice to Matt Hauser, who you thought wasn't exactly 12 metres behind you.
Yeah, I was pushing pretty hard at the start to kind of catch up to the boys, and got to the end of Garmin Hill, and we're all mates at the end of the day, but we get a bit frustrated on course. And I looked at Jamie and I looked at Henry. I was like, come on, boys, 12 metres, not 5. And then I looked back at Matt, and it's one of those courses where it's undulating up and down, and you kind of like ease off a little bit, ease on, and you kind of fall back into that slipstream. So I was kind of looking back in those sectors, and I was like, oh, damn it. But I risked it for the biscuit, as they say, and kept in the bars heading down the other end of Garmin Hill. Yep. And I think I hit triple figures, and then absolutely ripped it up the hill, and that's when I kind of made the gap, and I was like, all right, finally, we've got about 20 metres now, time to rip it, and that's when I made the gap, but it lost every single second of it in transition.
Well, at least you know where you can gain some time. 100 k's per hour on the descent, Ash, you were shaking your head at that.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible. I don't know, my top speed is definitely not triple figures, but I've got out there once when I could super tuck, but that's not allowed anymore. So I made sure that I, kept my bum on the saddle and didn't get disqualified. So not as fast as I would have gone down there last year. And I was also about 4th in line down the hill. So I had to make sure I actually kept that distance and not go into the draft zone. So yeah, for me this year it wasn't as aggressive as Hayden's tactic there, but it's his first time on Noosa Tri, so it sounds like he's been very excited about this race.
Well, as a parent of kids doing sport, I always tell them to have fun. You look like you have a lot of fun.
I was loving it, eh? Like, I see why Ash has come to long course, because I don't know, I'm one of the athletes that just love to really rip it on the bike. Like, I should in reality look after my legs and save it for the run, but I don't know, I just love ripping it and really just hitting every single discipline hard, and knowing that I've done everything to deserve the win instead of hiding in the group. And I think that's what is really nice about long course, is you do most of the work yourself, and you feel when you cross the line, you feel real proud, because you've hit the swim hard, you've done all the biking yourself, and then you obviously finish off with a run. And just out here in Noosa, the crowd was amazing. They just keep amping you on, and you kind of just really feel real home here. And I see why Ash comes here every year and loves to come back, and and other people come here. It's just, the vibe was insane.
Be careful, Hayden, because Belinda, we've claimed a few Kiwis in the past.
Isn't Braden Curry?
I've already claimed him. You're mine. He's out. I've taken him under my wing.
You're following the footsteps of some great Kiwi triathletes, and we've just seen Cameron Brown, who's won the New Zealand Ironman, I think, 12 times. He has been over here taking a photo of you.
Yeah, I think, he says he's retired as a professional, but come on, he's still ripping it. I think he's getting up there in age.
Still training 30 plus hours a week.
Yeah, he trains more than me still, and he's been doing it for years. He loves it. He just tries to get over that calf injury, and off he goes,
So, Ash, 10 wins. We're going to see you back here next year.
Ooh.
Actually, when I crossed the line, I said maybe next year I should be out on the course volunteering. Taken up so many years here, and definitely appreciative of everyone that's kind of put this race together. And I think I definitely will be back, but it's just pretty satisfying having 10.
One thing we did see, you blew a kiss on the Garth Proud Bridge, which even now is making me a little bit emotional. What does it mean, this race, winning it again? And for Garth Proud?
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to make you.
He was one person that I remember sitting in the cafe with on the corner at Le Monde, and he got me my first ASIC sponsorship because he always looked after young athletes, and he saw in me that I might have a future in triathlon, and yeah, he connected me with ASICS, and I'm still an ASICS athlete to this day, and they still sponsor this event. So, I just wanted to make sure I took the time to honour Garth when I ran over the bridge, and yeah, it was really nice to do that before I enjoyed the finish.
Wonderful.
Absolutely beautiful. Ashley Gentle, a 10 times winner of the race. Hayden Wilde for the first time. Even though he's a Kiwi, we're going to cheer him on at the Olympics in Paris. We'll wrap up after this. Well, that was a lot of fun to interview the winners of the men's race and the women's race. Hayden Wilde taking out the victory. Matt Hauser in second spot, breaking the old record. Henry Schumann in third position. An international podium. Jake Birtwistle in fourth, and a really strong finish in fifth from Kurt McDonald.
We knew he'd be up there.
Jamie Riddle was the next best. He was really strong in the swim. So too, Brandon Copeland was amongst the early leaders. Osborne in ninth, and it was Thornhill. Rory rounding out the top 10 in the men's race. In the women's race, Ashley Gentle, the quickest she's ever been on this course. Win number 10.
Unbelievable.
Sophie Malawecki, I know you were really excited about Rochelle Hill in third. It was then DeVette in fourth position. McShane finished strongly for fifth place. Willems in sixth. It was then Hedgeland in seventh position. Hedgeland again, the sisters.
The younger sister.
Jazz and Kira in seventh and eighth position. Langridge, who rode so well, was in ninth. And Agnew had a brilliant performance here last year in 10th. What a way to celebrate the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. Belinda Granger, the winner here in 1998. It's
Long
been
time ago
fantastic
now,
to share the commentary with you today.
Oh, look, honestly, I just wish I had my voice, but that's what this race is all about. It's full on from the time it starts on Wednesday all the way through to last age group crosses the finish line this afternoon. Absolutely love this race. I cannot say enough good things about it. It's amazing. And the 40th, it didn't disappoint.
If you want to join us for the 41st edition, the entries open on the 15th of November, and get in early because it sells out really quickly. The event next year, it starts on the 30th of October, but the big one, Sunday, the triathlon, is on the 3rd of November. It's a fantastic event. I'm already making plans to get organised to be here.
Brilliant.
Entries open Wednesday, the 15th of November at 11 a.m. It's like getting tickets to an AFL or an NRL grand final. You've got to be in early, Belinda.
You're there with your finger on that button, but honestly, it is absolutely worth it.
Thanks to all the partners of this event, of course, Garmin, ASICS, and Events and Tourism Queensland. It wouldn't happen without them. It's live in Queensland. We've heard Ashley Gentle talk about her relationship with ASICS. Garmin gave us the stats on Hayden Wilde doing 100 kilometres per hour on the descent. Visit noosa.com.au. This is a place to come for a family holiday. It has been a joy to bring this race to you for the 40th edition of the Garmin Noosa Triathlon. The age groupers, they're just getting started. It's a big day ahead. Thanks for watching. We hope that we see you here next year. Bye for now.
Bye.
Run when the rhythm's right, go into the night, floating as the river flows, easy as it goes to the ocean. So walk on by, I've got no reason to love you, but I do. Show me colors of the sky, but all I see is gray. You lost me when you lied. I don't ever wanna be a crowd, just another prize. It breaks my heart. Lost in the midnight blue, feeling something so new.